snow on the ground. It's a little warmer outside today, which is kind of nice. Either way, we are inside for the second game of a 4-game set between the Milwaukee Brewers and the Miami Marlins. It is picture perfect inside Miller Park as we look to pick up a W in this second game here in Milwaukee. Hi, everybody inside the broadcast booth. Paul Severino, Todd Hollandsworth. I'm going to put this out there right now so we can move past it. Today, a very special birthday. Yeah, him, but also Don Mattingly. Happy birthday,
Don
pal.
Mattingly. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Good. Now we can move ahead.
Thank you. Right.
You're right. So, last night, speaking of celebrating, Lewis Brinson, a couple of home runs.
Yeah, great to see. A couple of swing adjustments in the New York series. Comes back, refresh the mind, refresh the body, a couple of days off, some swing enhancements, and instant results. Pags, Frankie, hitting coaches, they're thrilled with this. Great to see this, and instant results. It's what you like. You work on something, you go out and you execute in the ball game. It makes everybody look good. It makes everybody feel good. Hopefully Brinson carries that into tonight as well.
So that was the good news for the Marlins. The bad news, of course, they lost the opener last night, thanks in large part to a Brewers offense that certainly clicked, and the guy that was setting the table seemingly every time at the plate last night, one of their other big acquisitions, Lorenzo Cain.
Yeah, Lorenzo Cain has been an all-star. He's been a top-notch performer in the American League for the Kansas City Royals for a long time, and the Marlins last night, boy, they got to find out what he did so well. 3 for 4, solo homer, 2 doubles, walk. Here's the one thing that really stands out to me. He got ahead in counts. He got pitches down. Lorenzo Cain's a low ball hitter. He loves the ball down the middle of the plate. Who doesn't love the ball down the middle of the plate? But he also loves it down in the zone. Marlins weren't able to elevate with any kind of success against him. It's actually where he struggles a little bit. Let's see if there's an in-game adjustment tonight.
All right, so Trevor Richards is the guy that's going to have to slow down this Brewers lineup tonight. He, of course, has a connection to this city. Jessica Blaylock has a little bit more on that as we get set for the first pitch here at Miller Park tonight.
Yeah, that's right, Paul. Trevor Richards on the mound tonight for the Marlins. In his last start against Pittsburgh, he was phenomenal. He made it through 7 innings of work, did not allow a single run. Tonight, he faces the Brewers for the first time in his career, and for Trevor, Milwaukee is a special place. Here is Trevor Richards with more on his journey from Miller Brewery to Miller Park.
Yeah, it was cool. It was about a year and a half ago, and in my off season, I got a job up here. My girlfriend was up in Milwaukee, so I decided to move up here for the 5-6 months of the off season, and landed a job working in the guest relations at Miller. And we were able to go back yesterday and got a pretty cool tour. Got to see people I worked with, so we had a lot of fun.
So now coming back to Milwaukee in a completely different capacity as a starting pitcher, how would you describe the past year and a half?
It's great. I mean, it's good to be back here and good to see. I mean, we drove by the apartment. We know where we're at, we know downtown area. We live down there, and it's just cool to come back and see it from a different perspective.
The journey for every player is special, and for Trevor Richards tonight, it comes full circle. Coming up next, it is first pitch in Game 2 of a 4-game series between the Marlins and the Brewers. It's Todd Hollandsworth's birthday. It's Don Mattingly's birthday. That's got to be a good sign. The guys will have the call for you next on your home for Marlins baseball, Fox Sports Florida.
W.B. Mason, who but W.B. Mason, the official office supply company of the Miami Marlins. Chevrolet, see your South Florida dealer today. And by your local Toyota dealer, Toyota, let's go places. Back here at the ballpark, a t-shirt giveaway. And people will come out in droves for free stuff. I know because I do. By the way, Lewis Brinson back in the lineup in last night's ball game, and we had heard he made some adjustments, and we certainly saw it with the 2 home runs. Todd, what did you see?
Well, listen, we're going to break down one of the things we saw last night, talking about his hands, and guess what? You at home can see it too. Look to the left, watch the hands. They travel a lot farther back. And listen, we're talking about hitting 95-mile-an-hour fastballs. When we're talking about 4 inches, that's a lot. So you see the hands go back. It elongates the swing down to one knee. Look to the right. You saw yesterday, those hands went back about an inch, inch and a half, and then right to the point of contact. 95-mile-an-hour fastball. He hits out to dead center field and then does it again his next at bat. Great to see. Good adjustment. He shortened his swing. He got back
on the fastball, Paul.
And again, it's nice to see because you and I both know that he has been working hard, grinding. He had that 0 for 20 something, got the base hit, and then last night his first 2 home runs as a Marlin. He, of course, hopes to keep things going as we take a look at Don Mattingly's lineup tonight as Derek Dietrich back at the top of the lineup as per usual the last week and a half. Miguel Rojas, he's still hitting .318 over the course of his last 11 games despite the fact that his 10-game hit streak came to an end last night. Again, good to see JT Realmuto back, his 3rd game back since the injury, and it certainly changes the dynamic of this lineup, which will face Jhoulys Chacín, who had a career-high 153 strikeouts last year. This year, opponents hitting .320 off of him.
Well, Chacín struggling. Listen, last start, 4 innings, 5 hits, 4 strikeouts. It might be his best start of the season, but was in trouble all night long. Of course, it lasted only the 4 innings, so the numbers are skewed. He's having a rough go of it. The Brewers are 2-2 in his starts. Lefties, .367. You pointed out the .320. A lot of that's the lefties.
Of course, the Marlins don't want to make a habit of having to bounce back after big losses, but that's what they look to do tonight. They, of course, lost big in Philadelphia, came back the next day and won. They lost big in New York the other night, came back the next day and won. They lost in last night's opener 12-3, and we'll see how this one shakes out. 2 balls and no strikes to Derek Dietrich. He was 0 for 3 in last night's ball game, 2 for 13 so far on this road trip through New York and through a game here in Milwaukee. That's a called strike. 2-1.
Chacín had a fantastic year. Now, the way he got here was a 2-year, $15 million deal before this season. He had a great year last year with the Padres, 3.89 ERA and 13 wins, a whip of 127. Let's go ahead and scout him. You know what? Sometimes I do this. I get excited. I start giving everybody the information. I get ahead of the Auto Nation scouting report. Let's jump right in. All right, here we go. Refresher course. He has struggled against the Marlins in his career. 7 career appearances, 5 starts, 5.22 ERA. Traffic jam. As I mentioned, his whip from last year. This year, 1.92. Paul, you know whip, right? Walks and hits per innings pitched. He's got 2 guys on base like every inning. So he is navigating traffic on the bases. And the leadoff man, guess what? Men leading off an inning, batters leading off an inning are hitting .471 against him.
This leadoff hitter just lined one into the seats down the right field line. And the count still full, 3 balls, 2 strikes.
So all of that information I give you on Chacín, you say, all right, what's the big issue? Number 1, he's lost some velocity, and that's what you see in the first 4 starts. Last year, 92, 93 on the fastball. This year, he's only averaging 89.1 miles an hour on the fastball. So a little bit easier for the hitters to see.
Dietrich making him work a little bit as he fights off another one. He'll see at least 8 pitches in this at-bat. 21 hits for Derek Dietrich this season. That's tied for 8th in the National League. Again, the payoff pitch and a ground ball, base hit, so you can update those leadoff hitter numbers.
Inching their way towards 500. Let's give you the Brewers defensively for tonight's game. Brought to you by Sylvester Comprehensive Cancer Center. Braun in left, Kane in center. Yelich gets the start in right field. He's been playing all over the outfield. Shaw, Arcia, Villar back in there. Thames, Bandy, Chacín on the mound.
It's Craig Counsell in his 4th season as the manager of the Milwaukee Brewers, 3rd full season. As he looks on as Miguel Rojas digs in. Again, that 10-game hit streak came to an end in last night's ball game, but he has still been one of the Marlins' hottest hitters over the course of the last week and a half or so. Again, hitting .318 with a couple of home runs in his last 11 games.
Dietrich not a huge threat to run or to steal. We've talked about this going all the way back to spring training. Maybe the Marlins at times a little bit more aggressive on the bases, and we say this because they don't possess nearly as much power as last year. This might be the right spot. Rojas has been fantastic of late. We showed you the numbers. He's making good contact, and he's only struck out 1 time in his last 28 at bats. So you're going to see a little hit and run right here.
Just trying to figure out ways to get the defense to move around a little bit, make things a little difficult. and try to create some runs, especially early. That's the thing. I mentioned the nice comebacks the day after a rough loss. Not only did they win the games, but they scored in the first inning in both of those games. So we'll see if that trend continues here. They have one on and nobody out. Rojas pops this one foul behind the Brewers dugout. Not the first time that Jolie Chacín has seen the Marlins. Of course, different personnel, we all understand that, but against the uniform itself, 5 starts, 1-4 with an ERA north of 5.
He has labored all season. Really, there's not too many places you go to in those first 4 starts and say Chacín is locked in. He's starting to come around. A lot of traffic, a lot of issues. He's clearly aware of that as he's thrown over to first base a couple of times.
And a lot of pitches too.
Yeah.
3 1/3 in his season debut, 69 pitches. 5 2/3 in his second start, 91 pitches. 4 2/3. 83 pitches his last one. You mentioned 4 innings pitched against the Mets, 85 pitches as Rojas fouls another one back. Still 1-2.
I'm going to give you the arsenal for Chacín tonight. As we talked about that fastball, the velocity down a little bit. Does have a 2-seamer, 4-seamer. He's trying to keep it down because of that missing velocity. We've already seen that to the first 2 hitters, but the slider, it's his bread and butter. The slider usage is way up right now because he is not feeling comfortable with his fastball. Of course, he's got a curveball and a change, but the slider is his go-to pitch. He's using it almost 40% of the time.
1-2 is grounded to the left side, and Shaw with the underhand flip the short way to get the lead runner. Rojas will reach on the fielder's choice, 1 away. So in steps Starlin Castro, 1 for 4 last night, 3 for 12 on this road trip.
I don't know if this means anything, but I said to Starlin during batting practice, I'm not sure he heard me. I kind of was whispering it to him over the cage. 99 homers. I feel like we've said that a few times.
We
but
have.
As soon as I said it, I'm hoping this leads to something. But he hit one off the Miller light side in center field. That is about halfway up the scoreboard. It was in one of the farthest balls I've ever seen Starlin hit in my life. And I thought, well, maybe, just maybe, that leads us to 100, right?
That's right. And we can get rid of
There
it.
it
See
is.
that way out there. It's 400
I'm telling you.
center.
I don't know if he heard me or not. I was just kind of thinking it. I was talking to a few people about it. And, you know, lo and behold, he just crushed one.
Well, Starlin Castro taking on Jolie Chacín today, presented to you by AARP. 6 for 20 with a double, a triple, an RBI. He needs to fill out the home run column. I'm with you. Let's do this. Make it nice and even. Well, it's going to happen anywhere. It might as well happen here. He has had some success against the Brewers. 292 career average against Milwaukee. So many years with the Chicago Cubs before a couple of years with the New York Yankees, and now back in the National League. Ball and 2 strikes with Rojas off of first. Trevor Richards is coming off arguably, I don't even know if there's much argument to it, but arguably his best start in the major leagues. Of course, we'll get into his backstory with this city as his night progresses. Castro fouls another one off, still 2-2. Making Chacín work in this first inning. Dietrich took him to a full count, and Castro is going to do the same. Terrific eye on the outside part of the plate. Ball 3, says home plate umpire Mike Estabrook.
Yeah, this pitch is off the outside corner. It's not in the strike zone. It's a ball, but you can see what Chacin's thinking. He's trying to get to the edges. He knows how hard he has been hit lately, and he's trying to make perfect pitches here, even in the first.
That one is inside. Runner was on the move. Doesn't matter, as it's a 1-out walk, 2 on for Justin Bour. Bour 1 for 4 in last night's ball game, 3 for 11 with a run scored and an RBI on this road trip. And what's been nice to see the last week or so from Justin Bour is not just the home runs, of which he had 4 on the homestand, but also the fact that he's been using the whole field and not just little dribblers through the left side. Last night, a sharply hit ball, a 6-game hit streak going, using the whole field.
His last 13 games versus the Brewers, hitting .373. He likes Miller Park. Lifetime .328 batting average here at Miller Park, in fact. Good stuff, good numbers.
That you've got to like to see. Spraying the ball all over the place.
Yeah, and you also look at the defensive placement for the Brewers right now. Is that a little different than what you saw in week 1 against Justin Bour?
You know, I was going to ask you that last night after his hit. Like, you know, how many more hits does he have to have before he doesn't see the shift anymore?
Well, in this situation, of course, they're playing him to pull in the outfield. Part of this is Chacin and maybe that lack of velocity, but on the infield, playing him a little bit more straight up.
A patient approach in this first inning for the Marlins against Jolie Chacin. He gets the strikeout of Bour, 2 away here in the first.
Big out for Chacin right after Bour. And they saw nothing really but fastballs in the zone. A couple away and 1 in. Right at him.
So now JT Realmuto, again his 3rd game off the disabled list. Homered in his first game back. He has hit in 13 of his 16 career games against the Brewers and 8 of the 11 games in this ballpark. Takes strike 1. 0 for 3 in last night's ball game, but 2 for 7 since coming back. Really helping the rest of the guys in Don Mattingly's lineup settle into where they probably should be, I guess you could say.
Well, you really hope that the Marlins take full advantage of any opportunities, not only here in the first inning, but throughout this ball game against, obviously, Chacin. You know, the struggles that he's had, you want to capitalize on him. You don't want to let him get into a rhythm, start to execute pitches, start to build his confidence back up. Chacin, he has been getting knocked around the yard by just about everybody, so he's searching right now.
A called strike 3. So back-to-back strikeouts to get out of the jam in the first. We'll watch Trevor Richards work when we come back. Start was terrific against the Pittsburgh Pirates, limited them to 2 hits over 7 scoreless innings. First Marlins rookie starter to work at least 7 innings and allowed 2 hits or fewer since Justin Nicolino back in September of 2015. He was great, and you know that he would like to piggyback off of that start.
Well, continue to disrupt the timing of the Brewers hitters. That will be the key tonight. It's what he did so well against the Pirates. We've ranted and raved about how outstanding the changeup has been. Lefty's hitting a .188 against him. That's a great sign. Runners in scoring position, only 250. Really, he's got to avoid the big inning. His first 2 starts, you saw it. There are his numbers on the season. He's done a very nice job. I mean, all in all, this is again, a work in progress. He's learning his way, getting his feet down at the major league level. But tonight, I mean, I talk about this an awful lot when it comes to Richard. That secondary pitch, that breaking ball, if it can help him get a few strikes along the way, I think it will be a huge plus against a generally aggressive Brewers lineup.
Well, that's kind of the overall game plan, but if you want to shrink it down a little bit, get this guy out somehow, some way. Keep him off the bases. And Miguel Rojas knocks it down, but no play as Kane will reach. He was 3 for 4 in last night's ball game, and he starts this one with an infield single. So Kane setting the table for our old buddy Christian Yelich, who's back off the disabled list a couple of days since missing 8 with a oblique injury, but he's back. Again, a different look tonight with the righty as opposed to the lefty Dylan Peters last night. So we'll see Eric Thames, he of the big home run. It's kind of feast or famine with him, but boy, when he feasts, they go a long way. So Christian Yelich up 1 for 4 in last night's ball game. Of course, his first game against his former club. 2 for 6 since coming off the disabled list. He takes outside, ball 1 from Trevor Richards. You said it when you were giving the defense for the Brewers. He's played all over the place. 5 games in left, 2 games in right, 1 game in center field. Chalk up another one. He's in right field in tonight's ball game.
His upbringing as a Marlin certainly allowed for this. Played all 3 outfield positions on his way to the big leagues. I did very much the same thing in my career, and that's really how the communication goes. We don't see you as a right fielder, center field. We see you as, we're going to need you somewhere at the big league level. We're going to get you ready for all 3. You are a very good outfielder, and this is where we're going to need you today. And today for Christian Yelich, it's in right field. He can play all 3. His job since his return from the disabled list, 2 for 6, 3 walks, head 2-0. Make that 3-0.
So that was certainly off the edge, not all that close as Ryan Braun waits on deck. But if you recall from last night's ball game, there were some pitches that looked to be right in that Fox box that were not called strikes. Don Mattingly was asked about that after the game, and he said, well, maybe Chad Fairchild, tonight's third base umpire last night behind home plate, maybe he just wasn't picking up the curveball.
Well, in all honesty, like I said, I just keep it apples to apples here. Did it go both ways? We saw strikes from both pitchers, both pitching staffs that ended up in the exact same part of the strike zone that were not being called. And like I said, to me, that's never made it right as Yelich draws the walk. But again, we saw it an awful lot last night. Here's the Marlins defense brought to you by Sylvester Comprehensive Cancer Center. Dietrich in left, Brinson in center. Of course, a couple of home runs last night. J.B. Shuck gets the start in right field. Anderson, Rojas, Castro at Bohr. J.T. Realmuto back behind the plate. Trevor Richards.
So that'll bring up Ryan Braun, who came off the bench last night and hit a home run, a 3-run home run, recording RBIs number 998, 999, and 1,000 in his career. Really a no-doubter, too.
Well, did you see where the pitch was? Elevated, arms extended. It's in his happy spot. And you will make mistakes to the Brewers. Most of these Brewer hitters up in the zone. There's going to be a lot of home runs tonight. There's going to be a lot of home runs in this series. It's what they do. There's really only one guy in this lineup that you might pitch up in the zone, but the Marlins haven't been able to do it yet. It's Lorenzo Cain. He's the one hitter that doesn't like the ball up. He actually likes the ball down, and the Marlins keep feeding him down in the zone, and he keeps getting base hits. Richards really struggling with his command. As we mentioned at the beginning of the series, this Brewers offense has been a little slow to start. Of course, last night happened. Brewers show up with a little bit more confidence today. Richards would love to get a ground ball.
Tapped at the plate, so 10 pitches. That's just the 3rd strike for Trevor Richards. So in some early trouble, but a ground ball would certainly be his best friend right now. After the infield single for Lorenzo Cain, who is now at second base, and the walk to Christian Yelich.
Well, you see some of the patterns that Richards has to deal with. He can't get to his changeup if he's not throwing his fastball for strikes.
One walk already in this one, as he's only facing his 3rd batter right now. He had 1 walk in the start against Pittsburgh. The 2-1 to Braun is line foul. Third base coach Ed Cedar able to sneak out of the way of that one, thankfully.
Well, that was the breaking pitch. We talked about it from Richards. Look how this spins and stays up in the zone. This is what we're talking about in the development of that 3rd pitch. He spun one up there, and Braun blistered it foul.
Two and 2 to Braun. See, now Ed Cedar's used to it. He didn't even move on that one. Not afraid. He's not even, I think he's even close to home plate. It's gutsy. It's all about the angle, right? To try to make sure he's got a good angle for Lorenzo Cain if he's coming around 3rd.
Absolutely. I want to make sure that he's in front of his eyes. That's what he's trying to do. Base runner at second base is going to make a slight arch around 3rd base, to your point.
Bluff move off second causes Richards to step off. Travis Shaw on deck, the 3rd baseman tonight for the Milwaukee Brewers. Coming off a terrific season last year. More on that in a moment. As Richards delivers a 3-2. Braun pops this one up, foul territory. Bohr giving chase, and that will reach the 1st row.
I thought that was a really good pitch. I love the pitch selection there against Braun. He'd seen nothing but action down in the zone. So Richards, even runners on 1st and 2nd and nobody out, willing to elevate. You got to go up in the zone sometimes. It was a good pitch. It jammed Braun. Unable to get the out, though. It's a good idea right there. His eyes were down at the bottom of the zone.
Working with JT Realmuto behind the plate tonight. I worked with Brian Holiday in his last start. Don Mattingly said Holiday made him use all of his pitches and helping to massage him through that 7 innings of scoreless baseball against the Buccos. And he gets a big strikeout there of Ryan Braun, 1 away.
Nice job. Set it up. Put it in the back of his mind. We just talked about the elevated fastball. Went to the same lane, just down with the changeup. Huge 1st out. Take another look. We talked about that foul ball. So in the back of Ryan Braun's mind, he's like, all right, he just jammed me with a 90-mile-an-hour fastball at the top of the zone. I've now got to put that in my memory bank. Oh, he's going to pull out his best changeup of the night right here. Swing and a miss.
Are we seeing that more in baseball now, that righty on righty or lefty on lefty changeup?
Yes, you are. Absolutely. Well, for Richards, it's his best pitch. I think the word is out. He's got to sequence it properly, and he did right there.
Travis Shaw takes ball 1. Shaw in last night's ball game 1 for 2. 3 for 11 on this homestand for the Brewers. They had the Reds in town prior to the Marlins. .31 home runs, 101 RBIs last year for Travis Shaw to go along with the .273 batting average. Production, I'm not sure if the Red Sox knew that they would get from Travis Shaw if they would have dealt him. This one has popped up behind home plate. It'll reach the seats, 2-1.
I think the story from last year, when you think of Thames and Shaw coming on board, you know, the idea of what they actually were going to be, and then to get the home run production, specifically the RBI production, you got a 3-4, well, we'll call it 3-5 combination in your lineup that not sure you thought you were going to get.
Yeah, that's the best case scenario for both of those guys.
Well, let's be honest. I mean, everybody who would identify with the Brewers over the last, 6 or 7 years would say Ryan Braun's hitting third, and you come up with some alternatives in the 4th spot in the lineup, but that's how it's been. Their future got accelerated, at least in my opinion, offensively by the development of Shaw and the huge year he had. Obviously, Thames coming on board as well. Thames sitting in the on-deck circle.
And with the way he's been swinging the bat, that's exactly where Trevor Richards would like to keep him in this 1st inning. Three and 2. Payoff pitch on the way is fouled straight back. Well, the overall numbers last year for Travis Shaw were terrific, but if you split them up a little bit and you look at the OPS, the on-base plus slugging, first half he was at .938, well above league average. Second half he was at .768. Came back down to earth a little bit, but again, overall, I'm sure he'll sign up for a 30-100 season. Brewers will too.
I'm a firm believer in lineup configuration. The talent around him in this lineup certainly will give him a lot of opportunities to drive in runs this year, hit for power, and to slug. He's not isolated. Back to the changeup. Changeup has been running and kind of diving off that corner, especially to the left-handed hitters. Yelich saw it a couple of times, and Shaw saw it as well.
Well, that'll bring up Eric Thames with the bases loaded and 1 out. Came off the bench in last night's ball game. 6 of his last 9 hits have gone over the wall.
Pinch hit last night, lined a single to right.
Marlins play 3 men on the right side of the infield against Thames, and the 0-1 straightens him up a bit. A ball and a strike.
Well, Thames, call him Mr. April around here for some obvious reasons. Had an incredible April in 2017. 24 games, 11 homers. 15 games in 2018, 7 homers. So, yeah, do the math. 18 home runs over the last 2 Aprils.
Yeah, but most of those are against the Reds.
True. Just saw the Reds. He did it again. I mean, I couldn't even believe it. I was like, really? You're still pitching to him?
That's right. They won 2 games against the Reds, both 2-0, both 2-run home runs for Eric Thames. 2-1. A little off there, 2-2.
That's the effectiveness of the changeup that Richards wants to see, not dive bombing outside the strike zone. Brewer hitter's not willing to chase just yet. Shows you how effective the changeup can be. Obviously, Richards, that's back-to-back changeups. All right, Thames swings through it, and very defensive swing right there with 2 strikes. He got to see it 2 times in a row.
Don Mattingly said of Trevor Richards' last start against Pittsburgh that he was really good. He was just okay in his first 2 starts. His command was much better. 15 balls, 14 strikes of the first 29 pitches as Thames sends one down the left field line, and that one will reach the seats. Both starting pitchers having to work in their respective first innings. Chacin threw 27 pitches. Already 30 for Richards. He's got the bases loaded and 1 out. Thames gets a piece. Still 3-2.
As these at-bats continue to develop, the pressure gets back out on the mound. We saw it against Chacin. He was able to get out of it with a couple of strikeouts for Richards. Now at 31 pitches, look at the splits. 15 balls, 16 strikes. We talk about this as hitters. The more you make a guy work out there, the more likely he is to make a mistake. Got to make a pitch right here.
And he walks in the game's first run.
That has been one message that has repeatedly been delivered here in the early going to the Marlins starters. Working inside the strike zone. 3 walks here in the first, led to at least 1 run.
So that'll bring up Jonathan Villar. Leadoff walk for Lorenzo Cain. A walk, a strikeout, and then back-to-back walks.
Villar, the day off yesterday, did play on Wednesday, 2 for 4. Known for his speed, his bat has been a hot one. Runners on base, .417 batting average this season for Villar. That's why he finds himself down in the lineup a little bit lower. Bases empty, actually hitting .200.
Well, there is a new arm in the bullpen for the Marlins. As now in the last couple of days, they have sent 2 guys to the disabled list. Chris O'Grady the other day, the shoulder issue, a forearm strain for Odrisamer Despaigne, so it's a 10-day DL for him. Look out. And Nick Whitgren has been recalled from AAA New Orleans.
Certainly feeling for Despaigne. Has been very effective since his return to the big leagues going back to last year. And Mattingly leaning on him heavily to do a lot of different things, both in the rotation. Obviously going to get him back from the disabled list. Good to see Nick Whitgren back.
Big strikeout there of Villar, second of the inning.
That's good to see. Richards right at him. He's creeping up on almost 40 pitches this inning. Flat out blows a fastball by him.
Well, now this is one of those situations. You've thrown all these pitches, so you want to get out of this inning with just the 1 run.
Don't worry about that. Just keep making pitches, what you got to do. Stay in the zone. You can't let this game slip away early.
Orlando Arcia, homer in last night's ball game, takes upstairs. A ball and no strikes. He's only hitting 5 trips last night, 5 for 16 with that home run on the homestand. Last year against Miami, hit 526.
Yeah, 10 for 19 with 2 home runs. You had to bring that up, didn't you?
Yeah. That was last year, though. That's why I brought it up.
Right. History lesson, right? Key to the game. History.
It's just context. That's all. I got you.
We were put on point. Garcia, very good, very talented young shortstop for the Brewers.
Out to center field. Brinson will put that one away. So Richards works hard in the first inning, surrenders a run, but leaves the bases loaded to the top of the second here at Miller Park. Here at Miller Park. This season, the Marlins are collaborating with local lifestyle brand Life for an exclusive t-shirt collection. During select games, you'll be able to get a Marlins-inspired Life brand t-shirt with a special bundled ticket to the game. For games and dates and to purchase your collection of 4, visit marlins.com/offer. Brian Anderson, Lewis Brinson, J.B. Shuck. 6, 7, and 8 due up for the Marlins against Jolie Chassin.
Brian Anderson 0 for 4 last night, 0 for 9 on the road trip. Get that swing going once again. Call it a little mini slump. It's about ready to stop. He's been really working hard on the middle of the field during batting practice.
Those his season numbers. It's so frustrating, right? It's one of those games. It's kind of like golf. You never really master baseball. You know what I mean? Like
wow.
You're going good.
You want to go there?
Well,
yeah.
just like it's just in general. Like, you know,
absolutely. You're like
good.
trying to drive. You're trying to jump into like a hitter's meeting right now.
Yeah, it's frustrating, man. Alive.
There's a lot of levels there, pal. Baseball is yes. You know, there's a joy and a curse every day. You know, you go 0 for 4, and the great joy for an offensive player is he gets to go back to work the next day and fix what he did.
Yeah.
You go 2 for 4 with 2 home runs. That day, you know what the joy, the down part of that is, you got to go back to work the next day. You don't even get to celebrate that long.
Well, that's why we were all surprised that J.B. Shuck didn't retire after that 4 for 4 debut.
Wants to stay up here a little bit longer.
I guess that makes sense too.
That's right. It's a process. It really is. There's going to be some highs and lows. You got to keep your mind ready, stable, in focus for the goal that day.
And whether or not the hits are coming, Brian Anderson continues to draw the walks. Also making adjustments is Lewis Brinson.
Oh, this is one of my favorite conversations on this road trip so far. You look to the left, you watch it, has those hands rock back, it gets a little bit long. You look to the right side, the front leg is on time. He's getting his front leg started a little earlier, and he's shorter path to the baseball with the hands. Great in-season, in-road trip adjustment.
This one popped up right side. Thames gives it a look, but it will get into the camera well. 0-1.
You think back to some of his struggles, and that was it. His swing is, and sometimes your hands can get lost, and I think a young player, it can happen to him when you're not on the fastball. You just don't always know where your hands are at. And Lewis Brinson, they were just getting a little bit long right there, and he wasn't starting his swing on time, and it was amazing. You know, yesterday it was like all of a sudden he was back right on 95, and right found that barrel right away.
Good pass at that one, fouls it straight back. It's 0-2.
That's one of the other things that you talk about, especially in the early going, Paul. You know, when a hitter starts to get rolling, you know, you hear me use phrases like he's not missing his pitch. Well, I think that's a pretty good example. I think when Lewis Brinson, when he gets hot, he starts to roll, like the last hanging slider, he won't miss that. He won't foul it straight back. Kind of like we were watching Justin Bour about a week ago. You know, when you get on your pitch and you get locked in, when the mistake comes, you don't let that mistake go. You make it pay for it. It's hard. It's coming off the bat and it's going somewhere. May not always be a hit, but it's a properly struck baseball.
Ball on 2 strikes with Brian Anderson off at first base. Third strikeout for Chacin, 1 away in the second.
Chacin dialing up the low zone. That's tumbling, 2-seamer. It falls out. See Brinson trying to get a piece, unable to come up with contact.
Well, here's J.B. Shuck back in the starting lineup in tonight's ball game. Pinch hit was 0 for 1 in last night's ball game as they get a check there on Anderson. Again, for Chacin, came over on a 2-year, $15.5 million deal for this year and next year. Craig Counsell said before the season, early in his career, health was a bit of an issue for him. But he's had some healthy, pretty consistent seasons the last couple of years, and we think he'll be a very effective pitcher.
I blame altitude for that. Of course, I'm just kidding. Chacin busted onto the scene as a Rocky, and I as a former Rocky speaking here, I've run across a few guys that have, well, had some issues at altitude. I'll just leave it at that. Not he, actually. He had a pretty good run.
Shuck a little number over to third. The one play is to first, and a bang play over there at first, and Shuck is retired. Moving up to second is Brian Anderson. Remember that day that there was that Rocky that had 3 home runs? You weren't complaining about the altitude that day, were you?
No, not at all. It's a good day. See the sun shining, temperatures warming, confidence rising. Stay on the ball. You know, I think we came across this. I believe this to be true, although I would have to verify it one more time. I believe that's the only hit I had on the 3-0 pitch. We were talking about that career. We were talking about somebody else doing that.
It made it count. Asdrubal Cabrera was the guy. As Trevor Richards grounds to second base, the inning is over. go to the bottom of the second inning. Brewers with a 1-0 lead on the Marlins. Here at Miller Park, let's go downstairs to Jessica Blaylock.
Hey, Paul, it is the 25th anniversary of Marlins baseball, so it's the team store at Marlins Park has you covered with hats and t-shirts and jerseys, so be sure to pick it up before it all sells out. Everyone is digging the throwback gear, especially that teal, and even the Marlins are wearing that 25th anniversary patch on their jerseys. Guys?
Yeah, that is going to be that's going to be a popular weekend. I know that. People dig the teal. That was the colors that you wore.
Yep.
So very near and dear to your heart.
No complaints here. Championship colors, pal.
That's right. Exactly. I saw that sit-down lawnmower-sized ring you're wearing on opening day.
Doubles as a brass knuckle.
Doubles as a watch too. I've noticed it. All right, so Mike Estabrook is back and ready to roll. As Jet Bandy digs in, Estabrook behind the plate tonight. Alfonso Marquez, the crew chief at first. Bruce Dreckman is the second base umpire. Chad Fairchild is over there at third. Jet Bandy, Jolie Chancine, and Lorenzo Cain due up here in the bottom of the second inning. 39 pitches in the first for Trevor Richards. So obviously get out of this second inning with no runs on the board. That's priority number one. Number two would be try to even up the pitch count a little bit. Hot shot down the third base side for Bandy. And it's 0-2.
Bandy 1 for 4 last night's ball game. Started 7 of the team's last 8 games behind the plate.
That all because Manny Pena is on the disabled list. Right calf tightness for him. That was on April 16th. So I'm not exactly sure at this moment in time how long he'll miss, but at least for the foreseeable future, it'll be Jet Bandy behind home plate. Oh, 2 from Richards.
Richards 4 3-2 counts in the first inning. Now the Marlins have 110 3-2 counts on the season. Feels like early in ball games we see a lot of pitches, Paul. 6th most in the big leagues.
In on the hands, may have broken his bat. Anderson, high throw, but Bohr hauls it in, and 1 up, 1 down here in the second.
Richards definitely looking for some quick innings. We've mentioned and talked about in the early going the number of innings this Marlins bullpen has thrown already. Hey, Marlins fans, now you can stream games live on your mobile device with Fox Sports Go, presented by T-Mobile. Download the app and take Fox Sports Florida and Marlins baseball wherever you go.
Jolie Chacin takes low. A 189 career hitter. He's got 1 home run. It's back in 2013. This year, though, 0 for 6.
Doesn't get cheated.
No.
Although he does only hit to one side of the plate. That front hip likes to leak open. He's wailing and bailing, as they say. Richards makes a pitch to the outside corner. He should be fine.
That's where Real Muto was set up, but that one on the inside corner.
You hang out in there, you run a little risk, right? Breaking ball. It's controlling the breaking ball for Richards. Got to get it to that outside part. There you go.
Look at that. Third strikeout for Richards. 2 away here in the second.
Well, this is where you prefer to face Kane as the lineup rolls back over. Nobody on and 2 outs. Kane has been a problem for the Marlins.
Urania and Suter tomorrow night. Keep in mind the first pitch tomorrow night is an hour earlier. 6:10 local time, 7:10 back home. And then a Sunday afternoon affair before we head west and continue and also wrap up the road trip in Los Angeles. This much we know, by the way. Trevor Richards will get Clayton Kershaw next time around in LA. It's Kershaw and Scherzer tonight. Keep a close eye on that when this one wraps up. 2-1 to Lorenzo Cain. 3-1. Cain signed a 5-year, $80 million deal with the Milwaukee Brewers in late January, the day before they acquired Christian Yelich, completely revamping their outfield in about 24 hours. Cain is on base yet again. In steps Christian Yelich, who walked back in the first inning. The first of now 4 walks issued by Trevor Richards.
Cain is a stolen base threat. He's 4 of 5 on the season. Very good base runner throughout his career. 34% stolen base success rate.
One misses upstairs, a ball on the strike. 2-1. Well, Richards back in Milwaukee, as Jessica talked about before. A native of Southern Illinois who worked up the road from Miller Park at Miller Coors. He was a member of the guest relations team between baseball seasons. He took a hard hat tour during the team's off day on Wednesday. Said he hadn't done that before. Look at this. His old pals. He also worked in the gift shop, the employee beer store.
360. How many days was it? This past winter, or was it the winter before?
It was the winter before.
It was the winter before, right?
Yeah.
So 365 days a week. You're what? You're starting at Miller Park tonight?
That one gets away from Real Muto, or actually got a piece of Yelich. Kane wasn't sure if that one got Yelich, and he was just making a big old turn toward third, but a dead ball, so 2 on and 2 out. Yeah, no, it wasn't. Well, here's another look.
Yeah, this is the breaking ball. Now, we've seen it up a few different times. Richards, we talked about the effectiveness of it. Buries this one, back foot, which is Christian Yelich. And the left foot.
You know, he wasn't working at the brewery last offseason, because last offseason he was a substitute teacher.
Right, I knew that. And I was trying to put the two stories together. So I remember it was, so my 365 days is about right.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
That's got to be just an amazing, not for Trevor, I think for the people he worked with. Right? Walks back in there, yeah, I'm a big leaguer now. Wait, what?
But I only get so many tickets, so not everybody can come. Ryan Braun line. Braun out to center field. Brinson underneath this very high fly ball. Richards works through it. Still 1-0. Baseball brought to you by T-Mobile. First of 2 in Detroit today. Jacoby Jones in the bottom of the 10th inning. Just enough to get over the wall and give Detroit the 3-2 win. Boy, oh boy, you know you're playing 2. The last thing you want is extra innings in the first one.
Well, they were already in extra. I think it was the 10th inning right there. But you got to feel good about that, right? It makes the doubleheader easier to deal with.
That's right. This one popped up on the infield. Arcia calls off Shaw, and Derek Dietrich is retired. Miguel Rojas and Starlin Castro to follow.
Well, a big first step for Chacin here in the third. Marlins able to get leadoff runners on in the first and second, and have not been able to turn it into a run scored.
Yeah, Kansas City and Detroit are playing a tight game right now in the top of the 8th inning in the nightcap of their doubleheader. It's 2-1 right now.
And the first game was cold. The second game was colder.
Well, I mean,
And you got to play 2. Take that.
It just feels like every time Detroit plays, it's either raining, snowing, they've been rained out, or they're playing a doubleheader.
You know, I know the game's in HD, but it doesn't feel like it is. It looks just, you know, cold and frigid. Even the highlights of the Jones homer, right?
Yeah.
Looks like everybody's just freezing.
Well, you know what, though? I'm starting to wonder about you big leaguers and your whole.
Well, listen, it's not our fault. They send us. They send us south for 8 weeks prior to the start of the season. Everybody goes down to Florida, Arizona, you know, finds their swing, their rhythm, and their timing. They're sweating. We're wearing T-shirts. It's 85 degrees, and then all of a sudden you throw everybody back in the cooker. It's 20 degrees out. Good luck. Go get them.
So that's the thing. But you're talking about watching games on TV and everybody looks cold. Like, we've lived through some cold games.
What are you talking
already
about, me?
No,
I'm incredibly soft.
Yeah, I know. Me too. Trust me, I know. But just in general, I was watching the White Sox A's, the game that took about 12 years the other day.
Yes.
I think it was Mark Canha. It wasn't even that cold, but he was wearing the headdress thing because he had a couple of hits the day before. So he just wanted to keep the mojo going.
You haven't figured that out by now. You're going to have your own mojo pretty soon.
I know.
You will. Really strong broadcast. We're spot on. You know,
wear the same tie the next day.
Yep, there you go.
Same tie.
Same socks.
Same pocket square. Same lucky pen, too, like Brockmeyer.
I understand.
Just like Jim Brockmeyer. Ball and 2 strikes to Miguel Rojas, who reached on a fielder's choice back in the first inning. Thames moves into foul ground. He puts that one away for out number 2. Let's check in with Jessica Blaylock.
Hey guys, Christian Yelich now suiting up in a Brewers uniform. One adjustment he's had to make, leaving behind the sun of Miami for the cold and snow of Milwaukee.
It's been definitely, you know, a little different than Miami and Southern California where I grew up. But you know, it's been kind of a fun, unique experience. You know, people are saying that it doesn't usually snow this much this time of year, but yeah, it's been fun. Luckily, we have a dome, so you know, we haven't really been affected too bad.
Hey, Yelly, one thing the dome can't protect, your car being covered in snow when you come back from a road trip. Guys, that's one thing we will never have to worry about back in Miami.
Well, first of all, these guys can't get into a garage somewhere, or is that at the airport?
I don't know where the car was parked.
Man.
I bet his reaction was priceless.
Really? That's what I would put on there.
Well,
really?
you know he doesn't have an ice scraper in his car, or
no.
You know, a brush. You know, those of us who were born and raised in the North and the Northeast, you know, regardless, you always have an ice scraper in your car, right?
You know Tim Flannery, right?
Yes.
I used to work with Tim Flannery at MLB Network. And Tim Flannery was a Southern California guy. He would come to MLB Network in the winter and do shows in the offseason. Sure. Well, he had a rental car one time, and it snowed. He didn't know what to do with it, so he just left it and took an Uber to the studio.
Makes sense.
Exactly. Castro strikes out as we play on here in Milwaukee. 1-0. Back for the bottom of the third. Paul Severino, Todd Hollinsworth, 1-0 Brewers. Travis Shaw, Eric Thames, Jonathan VR due up against Trevor Richards. That breaking ball misses just low to Shaw, who walked back in inning number 1. It was a 3-walk first inning for Trevor Richards. He only allowed the 1 run, though, so limiting the damage. But now it's just about efficiency at this point, as he is up over 60 pitches. A couple tosses here into the third. Two and one now to Shaw. 3-1. Of course, Shaw's dad, Jeff, played with you.
He did.
Do you remember
teammate?
Travis coming through the clubhouse?
I do. Travis probably vaguely remembers this. Look how ripped out of the way. Wow.
It's coming in hot.
Yeah, it sure was. Good job getting out of the way of that one. Yeah, Jeff, Jeff would bring Travis in, and he'd come out and take fly balls with me in the outfield all the time.
Really?
Yep. I'm guessing he was probably 7 or 8 years old at the time. Kind of took care of him. I was a young guy.
Out to right field, Shuck moving over. That's out of his reach. And in one hops the wall. Into second base goes Shaw with a leadoff double here in the third.
Seventh double of the season for Travis Shaw. He's been patient throughout the series. Walked his first time up through yesterday. Outstanding effort from Shuck. And here's the thing, well worth the dive, doing everything he can. He knows the speed of the batter in that situation. He's not worried about 3. He knows he can bounce back up. So he goes full extension and lays out for that. He makes the catch great. If he doesn't, as we saw, bounces back up. Shaw was getting a double either way if he doesn't catch the ball.
So here is Eric Thames. It's a big swing. Comes up empty, 0-1. His walk drove in a run back in the first inning. That's how they play the big slugger. Thames in the second year of a 3-year, $16 million contract with the Milwaukee Brewers. His story is an interesting one and a circuitous one for sure. Originally drafted by the Blue Jays in 2008. Made his major league debut with them in 2011. The following year he was traded to Seattle. He also had stops with the Baltimore and Houston organizations before going to play in Korea. He won the KBO MVP in 2015. Tell me, Todd, if this is a good season. 321, 40 home runs, and 121 RBIs.
Yep,
You'd sign up for that, right?
Well, what I think is so interesting is that his bat is what probably lost him his big league job the first time and gets him over to KBO, and he comes back as a slugger.
Yeah.
And I find that just interesting. The changing of an approach, the changing of a swing path, and now a thumper at the major league level. Tell you right now, one heck of an April hitter.
Yeah, he's on one of those runs right now for sure.
The last 2 Aprils have been big for Thames. 18 home runs in the last 2 Aprils.
Bryce Harper second on that list with 17 April home runs the last 2 years. No home run here for Thames as he's set down on strikes for the first out.
A burger, a beer, and a ball game. Start the weekend off right with Modelo Burger and Beer Fridays. Enjoy this fantastic deal on April 27th when the Marlins take on the Rockies at 7:10 p.m. Tickets start at just $30. Get your tickets at marlins.com/burger.
I'm a big burger guy. I'm there.
It was a popular, now, we did this, what was it, last homestand, one of our biggest crowds of the season. So rumor has it that my enthusiasm in the read is what drew so many people to Marlins Park.
No doubt about it.
We're going to take that same approach this time.
It's infectious.
I believe it was our second biggest crowd of the season. The way I read it makes you want a burger and a beer. I hope.
Yes, but in fairness, I probably would want those anyway.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then I'm just there to remind you.
Thank you very much. I don't know if the Richards family perhaps wants a burger and a beer.
Well, if they were listening, they would.
Wearing some Richards jerseys, so family and friends in attendance to see his first start here against the Milwaukee Brewers, cheering him on. Again, from Southern Illinois. Ball and 2 strikes to Jonathan VR, who struck out in his first trip. And his second trip. 2-way here in the third. And there you have it.
It's kind of enthusiasm you like to see. And guess what? That changeup really starting to work, particularly against the lefties. I mentioned the numbers. Outstanding stuff. 188 left-handed hitters going up against Richards this year. Now, the righties had a little bit more success, but now you see why. The left-handed hitter, it is so hard to lay off that changeup.
Orlando Arcia flew out to Lewis Brinson in center to end the first inning. Change up again, 0-1. Well, that is that major league out pitch that Michael Hill was talking to me about a couple of weeks back, right before he made his first big league start. As Arcia flies this one out to left field, looks like Dietrich will have room to put it away. A couple of strikeouts in the inning as Richards has worked through 3. We'll see Justin Bohr leading things off in the top of the 4th. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Miami Marlins. Paul Severino, Todd Hollinsworth back here with you at Miller Park, second of a 4-game set between the Marlins and the Brewers. Justin Bohr will lead things off here in the 4th. JT Realmuto, Brian Anderson to follow. Breaking ball misses outside, a ball and a strike. Four struck out back in the first inning. 4 strikeouts to this point for Jhoulys Chacín. Fly ball down the right field line. Yelich. 4 out number 1. Well, Chacín's got a little bit of a little Johnny Cash to him. He's been everywhere. Pitched for Colorado from 2009 to 2014. Arizona in 2015, Atlanta in 2016, the Angels in 2016, the Padres last year, and now Milwaukee in 2018. So he's been predominantly a West Coast guy, now working in the Midwest. But outside of that little stint with the Angels, mostly a National League pitcher. The 0-1 to Realmuto, a line drive, base hit right field. Now we've got a message from FPL.
At FPL, we're using technology to help us keep reliability high and bills low. That's how we're changing the current.
A sharp 1-out single for JT Realmuto here in the 4th inning against Chacín. Second hit tonight for the Marlins. Brewers have 2 hits as well, but they've had a few more base runners along the way. Thanks to the walks and hit batsmen, but the all-important run column, the Marlins find themselves down only 1. Speaking of walks, Brian Anderson drew one back in inning number 2. That's what we were talking about before, about, of course, the ups and downs of any big leaguer season, but certainly more for a youngster. I know you're impressed with the fact that he's still drawing his walks, whether he's getting the hits or the solid contact or not. That will come and go.
Well, that's what helps you to survive. You go through those down cycles where, the offers seem like they're happening a little bit more frequently and you're trying to get through it. I wasn't particularly good at this in my career. I was always trying to hit my way out of this whatever slump I was in, which a lot of times elongated the slump. But the point is that he's done a fantastic job of maintaining his plate discipline. It's really his point of contact. His swing is just a little bit off, and his timing's just a little bit off, just like we've said with other Marlin hitters, and you see it this time of year as guys kind of work through their swing. Hasn't changed his eyes, though. He's got very disciplined approach. Does a nice job fighting with 2 strikes. We've seen that from day 1 to where we are now. You see that his on-base percentage has stayed mid to upper 3s based on his approach right now. I know the batting average has come down, and most of us, you gravitate to that first. Well, you don't have to in today's game. Pay attention to that OPS, pay attention to that slugging percentage.
He's at a 375 on-base percentage right now after that 2nd inning walk. Well, you mentioned that 2-out approach. He had that big hit on the Sunday afternoon in Philadelphia with 2 strikes late in the ball game. Choked up a little bit. Said he didn't want to strike out. Put the bat on the ball. You see how he fights that one off. We just saw Aaron Judge in the previous series, the New York Yankees, and that was the thing. I mean, last year he was, whether he was banged up or not, and I think he had some kind of a shoulder issue going on in the 2nd half of the season, kind of slowed him down a little bit. Even when he was quote-unquote slumping and not hitting the home runs at the high rate that he was and not getting all the hits that he was, he still had, for I think it was somewhere in August, I don't know the exact dates, but somewhere in August, he was still getting on base at what would have been like a top 20 run. And that's the thing about drawing your walks when you're not getting the hits. Still get on base. As they say in youth baseball, a walk is as good as a hit. Say in the big leagues too. Fouls this one off. Realmuto was on the run. He'll head back to first. Still 2-2.
You see Brian Anderson. You say, okay, well, wait a minute. Now he's throwing 89, 90 miles an hour. He's got a slider, and it seems to me like Anderson's kind of fighting off the ball right now. Well, when in fact what he's trying to do is allow the ball to get deep. He's trying to see it as long as he can, and he's swinging just a little bit later. We always talk about that good point of contact out in front of home. Okay, well, listen, when you're good, that's where it always is. You're seeing the ball well. When you're not, a lot of times you'll try to let the ball get a little deeper, a little bit more towards the plate, and then swing. So it's a little bit of an inside-out approach, but you're defending the strike zone a little bit better. And the idea behind that is I don't want to strike out right here. I'm not going to go up there and just maintain that 1-0, 2-0 swing because I'm down 2-2 or 1-2 in the count.
Popped up, foul ground, Thames moving over, and he will have room to put it away for out number 2. Back for a third game of a 4-game set tomorrow. Again, note the start time of Marlins Live. The pregame show 6:30 back home Eastern time, 7:10 first pitch. Craig Minervini, Gabby Sanchez have you covered in the studio. Jose Urena and Brent Suter, the 2 starting pitchers tomorrow night. As Lewis Brinson digs in, 1 on and 2 outs here in the 4th inning. Brinson a couple of home runs in last night's ball game. Struck out back in the 2nd inning of this one. You know that had to feel good for him. Not only did he break out of the slump with the home run, but also did it against his former team. As close over there at first. Real Muto was leaning, but he gets back safely. It's time for the Florida Lottery in-game jackpot. 2 home runs last night. The 19th Marlins rookie to have a multi-home run game. See the guys that have done it 2 times each. Cody Ross mixed in a 3 home run game in there. But I asked him before the game, I said, you know, I had to feel good, not just the home runs, but against your former club too. And he said, you know what, when I came over to the Brewers, my first home run in the Brewers organization was against the Rangers organization. Minor league home run, but a home run against his former club nonetheless. Two-0 pitch. 2-1.
Well, we talked about the sequencing for Chaseen tonight. Again, a little less velocity, a few more sliders. It's very clear to me that the Marlins are not picking up the slider as well as you would like. They've had some passes at it, and at times it looks like it's been at the top of the zone, but it's really got a lot of hard hit balls on that slider.
We've also seen a few kind of little awkward swings too throughout the night too. So this one will reach the seats. 2-2.
Well, there's no doubt a few Marlins have stepped into the box almost sitting on that slider. I told you how much he's been using it, almost nearly 40% coming into tonight's ball game. So a few hitters have gone up there thinking, you know what, I'm going to get his slider at some point. Just have not been the swings. Ball off the end of the bat, off a little off balance at times. Chaseen has been able to get into a rhythm.
Dietrich made solid contact. His single was at 110 miles an hour. That one at 91 out of the hand of Chaseen. Brinson strikes out to end it through 3.5. 1-0. by the Cleveland Clinic. Stiff joints, aches, and pains. Trust Cleveland Clinic, Florida, the #1 orthopedic care in Florida. By La Lechonera, the original mojo since 1970. 1-0 Brewers as we go to the bottom of the 4th inning. Paul Severino, Todd Hollingsworth. Roof is closed. It was open earlier today, but I believe temperatures have dipped into the 50s or so here in Milwaukee. But a nice afternoon. Certainly sitting in the sun in the upper deck as we got here, kind of settled in, enjoyed the afternoon inside the ballpark. But now a little chilly, so it's nice to have the roof above our heads here at Miller Park. As Trevor Richards back out for the 4th inning, you'll see Jet Bandy, Jolie Chacin, and Lorenzo Cain. 8, 9, and 1 due up for Milwaukee, leading by a run in the 4th. First pitch swinging for Bandy is fouled back into the seat. 0-1. Grounded out to lead off the 2nd inning. Next pitch for Trevor Richards will be number 80. Situation where he was upwards of 40-ish pitches in the 1st inning. He's kind of been chasing that pitch count ever since. Walked in a run in that 1st, and to this point the only run that's been scored as Bandy just gets out of the way. Ball and a strike. Last time out, he used his fastball 55% of the time, his slider 27%, and changeup 18% of the time. He's used the changeup a little bit more in this one. Let's see if he goes back to it here on 1-2. And that one's over the netting.
Well, you've seen enough accident swings there. 2-strike approaches, much like that. Excuse me swings, as we call them. That's why he's used that changeup. It's maintained its effectiveness. You haven't had the sense that this Brewers lineup's getting a feel for his changeup in there. You know, and if you go back to his first 2 starts, I think back to the Red Sox start. In fact, they had a much better approach the 2nd time through the lineup against the changeup. Tonight, that just really hasn't been the case. It's actually become more effective.
That one is line foul down the left field line.
I've already gone ahead and put it in my notes that way. I mean, you look at the 2nd time through the lineup, he's not surrendered a hit. Obviously, you got to go back to that 1st inning. But, you know, there's been some base runners. I'm sorry, Travis Shaw had a double. My apologies, leading off. But he, you know, a couple of strikeouts and a fly ball to left. And that was off the end of the bat. So the changeup has been a very, very good pitch. It's a big league changeup. Gets outs.
Just those 2 hits. Lorenzo Cain to lead off the 1st. Travis Shaw to lead off the 3rd. This one is grounded to Anderson. 1 out here in inning number 4. Time for the Toyota inside look. Tonight is the 4,000th regular season game in Marlins history. Scored 4.2 runs per game. They've won 2 World Series titles, and they have never lost a postseason series. Chacin swings at the first pitch and sends it out to right field. J.B. Shuck for a quick out number 2.
Although that is fun to say, the fact that the Marlins still remain the only team that have not lost a postseason series. I know Marlins fans are waiting for a few more trips to go to the postseason.
Yes.
Such an interesting, I remember, obviously we talked about this in '03 after the 2nd championship, you know, kind of looking at the Braves in our division. They were busy winning the National League East year after year after year, and only 1 championship from the run. We thought the 2 championships was obviously at that moment in time, way more significant, and it was, undoubtedly. But you fast forward a bunch of years and you look back and you say, well, wait a minute. Organization's only gone a couple of times. See, that's what you're trying to build here. You try to get back to build that enthusiasm, that expectation going to spring training, that year in and year out you've got a chance to compete. Chance to go to the postseason. That's what you're trying to get.
Well, of course, and it's with that in mind that if you're there enough, you'll get over the hump.
Absolutely.
And there was a question I saw that talking about it today. It's like one of those fun little debate topics. If you could go to the postseason every year for 15 years or win one World Series championship, what would you do?
Go to the postseason.
Kane not in love with that call, but Richards will take it. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Yeah, clearly a strike. I talked about, looking at some of the numbers. Of course, after last night's ball game, I went back and looked at Lorenzo Cain's start to this 2018 season. I couldn't help myself. He was all over everything last night. The one part of the strike zone he does not like is the upper tier, that upper third of the strike zone. He's only got a couple of hits up there. See the Marlins, and again, you think down in the zone, keep the ball down. Don't elevate in this building because the ball will fly out of here. Well, Lorenzo Cain loves the ball down. Hot spot is low and in fact.
Payoff pitch to Cain, and that one just misses low as he is on base yet again. Single, he scored a run in the first and a walk in the second. And he draws the 2-out walk here in the 4th. Here's Christian Yelich. He also walked in the first, was hit by a pitch on the left toe back in the 2nd inning. And now lines this one out to right field. Shuck turns around, looks up to play this one off the wall. Cain is getting waved around. He'll come in to score. On to third goes Yelich with an RBI triple. It's 2-0 Milwaukee.
Well, the new guys in town have been doing it in the first 2 games of this 4-game series. Yelich on base an awful lot, as well as Cain, now playing off the walk. This pitch middle. Drives it off the right field wall. J.B. Shuck's going to chase it all the way to the wall. Thought he might have had a chance. It didn't hit way up on the wall. It actually hit low on the wall, but the ricochet is going to carry him much farther back towards the infield. That's going to allow Christian Yelich to get over to third base for Lorenzo Cain. He was running on contact, 2 outs in the inning.
That'll bring up Ryan Braun. That's kind of the in-between, I'm assuming, when you're an outfielder, when you could maybe get to it and you can't just, sit back and play it off the wall. Then it takes that ricochet and it goes past you. As Ryan Braun unloads on one to deep left field, and that one is gone. A 2-run home run for Ryan Braun. He's homered in both games in this series. It's 4-0 Brewers.
Now the 2-out RBIs are piling up in this series for the Milwaukee Brewers. Once again, 4th inning. Saw it yesterday. 8 2-out RBIs. This entire inning started with a walk to Cain with 2 outs, followed by a Yelich triple, a Braun home run on back-to-back pitches.
Got to 1,000 RBIs in last night's ball game, and now 1,001 and 2 on that swing.
Well, that is a breaking ball. There's not been too many quality breaking balls out of the hand of Richards tonight.
And now Shaw to right center field, and that one is gone. Back-to-back home runs for Milwaukee. They lead it 5-0.
I think many people would describe this Brewers offense as a quick strike offense. I think this is taking it a little far. Back-to-back pitches. All right. Yeah, that's right. The last 2 long home runs. JT Realmuto out to have a little conversation. This got out of hand fast. 4 runs, 3 pitches. About the same spot that Christian Yelich banged one off the right field wall. There's no doubter to center field. 3rd home run of the season.
We saw Realmuto set up low and away. And that one kind of leaked over the middle of the plate. Still low, but Shaw deposited that one to the right of straightaway center field. And now Juan Nieves is out to talk with Trevor Richards. I don't know if I've seen that before, by the way, as we've talked so much about this new mound visit rule thing. So after the home run, Realmuto went out to talk with Richards. Home plate umpire Mike Estabrook waved up, said that's 2. Realmuto goes back behind home plate. Juan Nieves walks right back out to the mound. Mike Estabrook says that's 3.
Yeah. He's got 3 mound visits left.
I don't know. I mean, it's like no pitch has been thrown. I guess technically,
well,
2 visits.
I suppose if we were going to get to this moment in time, I mean, it's clear how accelerated this inning just got, right? I mean, we were talking about efficiency, pitch counts. I mean, he did a nice job in the 1st inning to keep it at 1 run, and then all of a sudden, in the span of 3 pitches, Brewers are going to add 4 runs to their tally and up 5-0.
RBI triple from Yelich, followed by a 2-run home run from Ryan Braun. And the next pitch after that, Travis Shaw with a solo homer. So 4 across for Milwaukee here in this 4th inning. As Thames takes upstairs, 3-2. They let off fireworks every time the Brewers hit a home run, so that smoke just kind of settling right over the middle of the diamond right now.
Well, that's 2 home runs, so that's double trouble on the smoke.
True story.
Smoke hadn't cleared from the first one.
And it takes too long to open the roof to let it out, so it's going to have to dissipate on its own. Thames draws the walk. 2nd time he has been issued a free pass in this one. And now 5 straight Brewers have reached base, and Don Mattingly is going to come out and make a double switch. Looks like Cameron Maben's going to take over in center field. Lewis Brinson, who made the final out of the 4th inning. His night is done. To the pen we go. The Florida Lottery called to the bullpen. All of the bullpen is brought to you by the Florida Lottery. It's good to have options. That's why the Florida Lottery has over 70 unique scratch-off games. So add a little play to your day with these new games. The Florida Lottery. It's your ticket. Claim it. Must be 18 or older to play. Play responsibly. So that'll do it for Trevor Richards after 3 2/3, and it happened quick here in the fourth.
Well, it certainly did. Back-to-back pitches, and again, you know, you're battling through a start. You see the elevation right there in the location down the middle of the plate. Christian Yelich jumps all over. Ryan Braun gets in ready to hit. Trevor Richards just wants to get one more out and get out of this fourth inning. And this Brewer club got in the box like, all right, you know what? If you're going to make mistakes out of the plate early in the count, and we know you're watching your pitch count, we're getting ready to pounce. And they pounced. A triple and 2 home runs have changed the tides.
Cameron Maybin takes over in center field, the other half of the double switch, as Teheran Guerrero comes in out of the bullpen. For Guerrero, last time we saw him was in the Bronx, worked an inning on the 17th, walked a couple, struck out 3, and surrendered a hit. He faces Milwaukee for the first time in his career. And Jonathan Villar is the first batter he sees, and a first pitch strike. Richards responsible for the runner at first and Eric Thames, so the line not complete, but 3 2/3 innings and 5 hits, 6 walks, 5 strikeouts. And at the moment, all 5 of the runs earned, but again, that's his responsibility at first. He struck out 5, and he got VR twice tonight, once in the first, once in the third.
Well, this has got to be a real eye-opener. First time going from Richards' changeup to Guerrero's fastball. 97 and 99. It's got to feel like 105 right now.
Guerrero, a guy that can certainly pile up the strikeouts. 9th among National League relievers. 15.83 strikeouts per 9 innings pitched. Runner goes. Throw from Real Muto is not in time. Might have been in time, but I think Thames might have kicked it loose of Rojas. Either way, Thames on second with 2 outs.
Let's take another look. Thames got a pretty decent jump. Good release time from JT Realmuto. Good strong throw. Short hopped in. Watch Rojas. He catches that ball on its way in. After the hop, he's out at second base. The ball comes out.
Career high 4 stolen bases last year for Thames. That's his second in 2018. And 3-1 to VR. Misses. 2 on and 2 out. Something of a homecoming tonight for Trevor Richards. You know that's got to be frustrating, especially given the fact that he was so good in his last start. 7 scoreless innings, 2 hits against the Pittsburgh Pirates. But not the same success in this ball game. 2 on for Orlando Arcia, who fouls that one straight back. Arcia homered in last night's ball game, but 0 for 2 in the second game of this 4-game series. Alfonso Marquez says Arcia did go around, and it's 0-2. Well, I tell you what, that smoke, by the way, from the fireworks and the home runs, it's settled and it's spread. It's getting tricky to see up here. It's playing tricks on me, and I'm not trying to hit Guerrero right now. 0-2 to the Brewers shortstop. Gets away from Real Muto, and the throw down to second ends up in center field. So Thames will come in to score. Over to third goes VR. And it's now 6-0 Milwaukee.
Yeah, the frustration is definitely starting to show itself just a little bit as this ball gets away. With 2 outs, 2 strikes. JT really wants to make a play. As you see, it only gets a little bit away. VR hesitates, so JT thinks he's got a shot. This ball tails and sails into center field. He wasn't able to finish the throw. He was trying to be quick. That's going to allow Thames to score. Watch JT. He sees that runner lagging with VR. He thinks he's got a shot. He's definitely got a strong enough arm, but the tailing action took it into center field.
Called strike 3. It's the third out of this 4th inning, but the damage done. A couple of home runs, one from Ryan Braun, one from Travis Shaw. 5 runs across. 6-0 Milwaukee.
Couple of birthdays today. Todd Hollandsworth for one, Don Mattingly as well. So what did Mattingly do to celebrate his birthday today? How about this? He hung out with the Boston Celtics. They are in town to play the Milwaukee Bucks for the NBA playoffs. Donnie able to go over there and spend some time with the team. And yes, his nickname may be Donnie Baseball, but he's making those jumpers look easy. He said his favorite part of the day talking with Celtics head coach Brad Stevens about the culture that they're each trying to build. Guys, that is pretty sweet.
Oh, that is a nice little step back jumper. There's no doubt about that. Jolie Chassin with a 6-run lead to work with as he'll face JB Shuck. I'm sorry, dude. Not my idea.
What do you got?
That's a cupcake for your birthday.
No carb loading right
so
now.
I've got to eat this thing?
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to tell me twice. I will crush this thing.
That is for you.
No doubt about it.
I'm 45 now, so I can't eat things like that.
I'll tell you what, Jess, did you have one of these cupcakes?
No, I'm good, guys. I'm all set down here.
What is that thing? That is a massive cake.
Don Mattingly's birthday.
Hopefully this wasn't a cake for Todd Hollandsworth's birthday. I mean, we gave him a cupcake in the pregame. I think that's enough.
I like this. I'm going to enjoy this.
Brian Snyder's son, Cal Snyder, I want to wish him a happy birthday. It happens to be his birthday today as well. Happy 9th birthday. That's right. So a lot of birthdays in the Marlins family.
Yeah.
April 20th.
Happy birthday. You think you can handle this inning?
I think I can handle this inning. I'm hoping the Marlins come back and score some runs. Make this a ball game. Marlins trailing 6 here in the top of the 5th inning.
Yeah, keep going.
I got you.
I don't pass up sweets.
Hey, listen.
You said you're 45?
Enough people have said you and I sound alike. So, I mean, you, me, you, whatever.
That's a good cupcake.
I got it. Enjoy. Just keep the, the chewing down.
Oh, sorry about that.
It's the cough button.
You know what? I need milk. Can I get some milk?
JB Shuck, a ground ball out, first time up.
Well, that's a heck of a play at second base, but Shuck has the speed to leg out an infield single.
Got to see it on display. Hard hit ball. We've talked about it. Not a whole lot against Chassin tonight. JV Shuck, hard ground ball back through the middle. VR does a nice job going to the backhand, down to his legs, but I think that cost him a couple of steps. That's the only way he was going to keep it on the infield. Tries to spin and throw, and JB too fast. Good start to the fifth.
Well, that'll bring up Cameron Maben, who came in as part of the double switch. He bats for Richards in the number 9 spot and takes ball 1. They've been 1 for 8 on this road trip. Was 0 for 2 in last night's ball game. This one sharply hit out towards center field, but right at Lorenzo Cain. And there's one out here in the 5th.
Solid swing off the bat.
Well, after that 5 spot in the 4th inning, Jolie Chassin has a nice little cushion to work with at this point as the Marlins get back to the top of the order. And Derek Dietrich. Hot shot to second base, and that one ate up VR. His throw to first, though, in time. A nice recovery over at second base by VR. That got on him quick. Kind of knocked it down, found it, and retired Dietrich for out number 2.
Marlins would like to look one more time. This hot shot. Solid contact. VR tried to play the short hop, knocks it down. It spins and throws. Does the ball get to the interior of the glove?
I think it did.
Close. I think so too, but it
was very close. And of course, the call on the field is
not enough to overturn.
Not enough to overturn the out call. So Miguel Rojas reached on a fielder's choice. Popped up back in the 3rd. He pops up here in the 5th. Shallow right. VR for out number 3. A quick 5th for Chassin. 6-0 Milwaukee. fourth as Tehran Guerrero stays out. He came on last inning in relief of Trevor Richards, who worked 3 2/3. The line complete now on him, as it is a half a dozen cushion right now for the Milwaukee Brewers. So 6 runs, 5 of them earned against Richards. But either way, he had a tough time finding the strike zone in this ball game. He walked 6, struck out 5.
A lot of inactivity doesn't do favors for the defense.
Pitch to Jet Bandy, misses outside, a ball and 2 strikes.
I remember some of my days playing behind, even as a young man, playing behind veteran pitchers like Ramon Martinez or Greg Maddux. I mean, guys would talk about this all the time, wanting to keep my defense fresh, my guys on and off the field. It helps with their at-bats, helps with their defense. That's one common theme that we've seen early going this year. Has been some of these long innings where there's the walks. There's so much inactivity.
Yeah.
Ramon Martinez used to say this to me all the time. Listen, if I'm going to get hit, I'm going to get hit. If I'm going to have my night, I'm going to have my night. But you guys are going to be on your toes. And you're going to be, he wasn't going out there to walk guys. He was going right at it. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen that night. But the benefit of that is that your defense goes out and anticipates that, much like Maddux. He said, my dream games, 80 pitches. That's what I wanted to do over 9 innings. Why? Your defense stays on their toes. They're not on the field for half an hour. Then they're back in the dugout ready to grab their bats and go to work.
Right. Yeah, it's a little bit like the time of possession thing in the NFL.
Correct.
You keep the defense out on the field for a long time.
You can lull yourself to sleep. I mean, you stand around, you everybody's at their position, you do a little bit of moving, but when you're walking hitters and constantly in 3-2 counts, it gets hard on your defense because they get stale. They're not running around staying loose. They're just in one little, 4x4 spot on the field.
Well, again, this is not strictly based on Trevor Richards. I mean, he's the example tonight, but just in a general sense.
I'm merely getting to the numbers of the first, the first stretch of games. I mean, it's been a common theme.
Well, even across baseball, though.
Right.
Like that's what I'm saying. It's across baseball right now. It's kind of where we're at. It's those 3 true outcomes.
Strikeout, walks, and homers. Right. Well,
yeah, you're doing that, and nobody's really playing defense. I mean, listen, it's all kind of connected. If pitchers are throwing 100 miles an hour and maybe sometimes they don't know where it's always going, that's going to lead to the walks. When they do know where it's going, that's the strikeouts. And when they miss their spot a little bit, guys are swinging for the fences, they're the home runs. Everything is connected.
Take another look. He dials it up. He possesses it. It's one of the elite fastballs. You see the velocity and able to get it. Vandy.
Chacin is 0 for 2 tonight. Struck out back in the 2nd and flew out in the 4th.
Do you see where Chastain is standing in the box?
I see where he's standing in the Marlins dugout.
He's barely in the shot. Oh, this is great. Now, no disrespect intended to Richards, but he was definitely up in the box, maybe aware of the changeup, but a lot closer to the plate. Look at this. Down 1-2. He is what's no part of 100 miles an hour.
He's in Sheboygan.
Yes.
Right about now.
Be that.
I don't think he cares, Todd.
I'm with you.
I don't think he cares much. He's down for the 2nd strikeout of the inning and 3rd for Guerrero. There's Lorenzo Cain. He's reached base all 3 times that he's been to the dish tonight. He reached base 4 times in last night's ball game. Takes a look at 100 miles an hour from Guerrero. A walk and a run scored in the first, a walk in the second, a walk and a run scored in that 5-run 4th inning.
He's been on base 7 times this series. We're not even halfway through. Marlins are going to have to figure out how to slow Lorenzo Cain down. He's been at the forefront of the trouble.
Well, Lorenzo Cain, Christian Yelich, big parts of this offseason revamp for the Milwaukee Brewers, a team that was on the doorstep of the postseason in 2017. Guerrero got him. He strikes out the side here in the 5th. So it's 6-0 Brewers. We'll check in with the studio on the other side of the break. Craig, thanks so much. Yeah,
I told you I took Scherzer, you took Kershaw.
Right. Yeah,
Last night we talked about this.
We
That's
did.
Right.
We did. It's early though. It's early. Certainly following that one again. Call it a scouting report.
What do you expect there to be more runs in that game?
You might be right. Excuse me, swing from Castro on the run, and somehow Thames kept his toe on the bag to corral the throw from Arcia. And there's one out here in the 6th. Let's see.
Thames, as he reaches across, he's able. Arcia, a nice play. That throw just a bit up the line. It looks like he's able to keep his toe on the bag. He will continue to move along. Yeah, very interesting. The Brewers came out this afternoon. They did not take batting practice. They took fielding practice today. And again, coming tonight, having committed 21 errors on the season. Major League leading 21 errors. Focusing on the defense, and we've seen some really nice defense from their middle infielders last couple of innings.
Well, Arcia can pick it over there at shortstop. He is among the best. Plus, as the scouts say.
I came out to watch batting practice today, and I got to watch defensive practice. I wasn't ready for that.
It's a nice change of pace, though,
Yeah,
from a fan's perspective.
Good. Absolutely, I certainly understood it. You know, this is what the Brewers did, but I feel like almost like saying it paid dividends today, right? I mean, I just set it up. I mean, they've made a bunch of errors, 21. It was only a couple of nights ago they made 3. Made some nice plays tonight.
I think we talked about we might have talked about this on the plane on the way from New York here. About when I was a kid, I grew up in Connecticut, and I would go see the New Britain Rockcats. Every Friday night home game, my dad and I would go, and we'd sit right behind first base. I played first base when I was a kid. So I'd always watch Doug Mankiewicz. And some nights we'd go to the ballpark and we'd watch professional baseball players take infield, outfield. And you guys take it with such efficiency compared to our high school team as Justin Moore draws the walk. Like,
no redos?
Yeah, like we would have one ball going around, you know, and usually it's flying over somebody's head or whatever. Professional players, major leaguers in this case, who take infield, they've got 2 balls going at the same time. I mean, you guys are good. I don't know if anybody ever told you that.
It's practice. It takes a lot of practice to get to that level. You're right. We were talking about this just the other day. You know, you watch guys play catch as team stretching, getting loose before batting practice, and you know they're firing the ball at each other at like 90 miles an hour, and you know players are stretching it right in between.
Muto out to center field, and Kane takes one off the deck and takes away a hit. 2 down.
Well, sure did. Well, this will be the Bonefish. That's a game. Let's take another look. Kane gets a good idea of where this is going, and he's able to keep his glove, the top of his glove, right off the top of the grass. And pick it clean. It's your fresh catch of the day. A couple of hard hit balls from JT. Last couple of bats, won a base hit. That denied a hit. Lorenzo Kane, he's doing everything right this series.
Brian Anderson walked in the 2nd and popped up in the 4th. Chacin up over 90 pitches. He was in the high 20s in the 1st, but has since settled in. Strike down the inside corner to Anderson, 1-2. Anderson to left field. That is going to get down for a base hit. So for the first time since the 1st inning, the Marlins have 2 base runners on in 1 inning. There's 2 outs here in the 6th. Time now for this day in Marlins history, brought to you by Geico. Benito Santiago hit the Marlins' first home run at home at Joe Robbie Stadium back in 1993. It's always nice to see Benito Santiago when we're home. You know, they have the throwback videos up in the scoreboard in center field, right center field. Let's see Benito Santiago out there. No shortage of flash in his game. Tomas Talis will take ball 1.
Some of the circumstances in tonight's ball game as we sit here in the top of the 6th inning. So Marlins 4 hits tonight, all singles. I've said this before. Now the Brewers have 5 hits, only 1 more than the Marlins, but 4 of the 5 hits have been extra base hits, a double, a triple, 2 home runs. Continue to talk about opportunities with guys on base. Marlins want to get back in this ball game. This is a big spot.
Two hits in 10 tries as a pinch hitter this year for Tomas Talis. Chacin trying to work 6 innings for the first time this year, and this is his 5th start. Furthest he had gone into a game prior to this was on the 4th of April, 5 2/3. Gave up 3 earned runs against the St. Louis Cardinals. Brewers scored 1 in the first inning. On a bases loaded walk, they had 5 runs come across in the 4th inning. An RBI triple for Yelich, a 2-run home run for Braun, a solo home run for Travis Shaw. Another run scored on an error, as that one is upstairs. 3 balls and 2 strikes. That'll give the 2 base runners a head start. Moore off the second and Anderson off the first. Tap foul. Might have broken his bat.
May have broken his bat.
And even 100 pitches for Jhoulys Chacín in this one. Former Marlin Dan Jennings loosening up in the bullpen for the Brewers. Part of the reason why the Brewers brought in Chacín this offseason, GM David Stearns and the staff impressed by his ground ball rate, which was at 49% last year. Gave up less than 1 home run per 9 innings. Of course, he pitched at Petco Park last year, so maybe that plays into it. But either way, a successful 2017, which led to a 2-year deal, as that ground ball retires to lead, and the inning is over. When we come back to Miller Park, we'll check in with Christian Yelich, who will lead it off for the Brewers in the 6th. To the bottom of the 6th we go. We just saw the Johnsonville sausage race in between. Are you 2 for 2, by the way, on these?
I am. Wow. Got to declare it early.
You've got a knack.
I watch how they stretch.
Do you?
I do.
Okay. Well, we'll show you
Hot
the
dog. He was
No, don't say anything. We're going to show it.
Just telling you what I was watching.
I understand. Just don't want you to give anything away, because the
Polish sausage was not interested in stretching. The hot dog was on the ground stretching. I mean, you got to read it.
You got to read it. That is fantastic. Yeah, can AutoNation scout this and sponsor this tomorrow?
I'll get it right.
I'm sure he will. I'm not doubting you. I just need to know the science behind the whole thing. Anyway, enough about that. Drew Steckenrider in the ballgame. Third pitcher tonight for the Marlins as he faces Christian Yelich and delivers a strike. 2-1. Couple of days off for Steckenrider. Last saw him on Tuesday night in New York. Worked a clean inning, had a strikeout. Third pitcher after Teheran Guerrero, who worked an inning and a third, so that's 4 outs. He had 4 strikeouts. Yelich, however, works the walk. All right, it's time for the Coors Light refreshing finish.
Somebody still exercising at the start line. Number 4 hot dog. He was one of them. Italian right on his tail.
Did you hear that?
I did. Polish. He's in third.
Exercising and stretching the start line. I picked up on that. You know, that wasn't announced inside the stadium, but I was watching. I mean, Polish, he wanted no part of it.
Sausage race. Number 4.
You gotta want it. Was it the chorizo just went down?
Chorizo,
just
you don't want to know why? Hammy came up. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, this was the other day. This was,
that was the other day.
Yeah, this
right.
was like a NASCAR crash. This is terrible.
And chorizo goes down because the Hammy, I'm telling you, he didn't stretch.
Oh, that's right on the hip. There's a shoe that's loose. A nose is smashed. Wow, this is a disaster.
Yeah, listen.
Wow.
It is not a non-contact sport.
No, it's not for the faint of heart. No, that sausage race.
You
no,
put
not
that
at all.
on, you sign. I bet you have to sign a waiver.
Yeah. Would you do that though?
Absolutely.
You won't slide down the slide, but you would run in a mascot.
I told you, I don't like attention. I'd be in a costume. I'd do that for sure.
So you put on Bernie Brewer's outfit and slide down the slide.
No, I'm not doing that. He's way up there too. That's up in the top deck.
We were
hot dog.
Those are the standings, by the way. Keep a close eye on these things. There's pages dedicated to it in the media guide. Did you know that?
Nope.
Ryan Braun laces one toward right center field. That'll get down. Played there by Shuck, and all the way to third goes Yelich. Second hit of the night for Ryan Braun.
On top of the Brewers lineup continues to produce elevated fastball. Braun, as he has done so many times in his career, stays inside the ball, lines it to right field. Christian Yelich, once he reads that ball down, is well on his way to third base. See the long legs and the speed that he possesses. Brewers looking for more at the bottom of the 6th.
Well, that clean ERA for Drew Steckenrider is in jeopardy right now with runners on the corners and nobody out. Travis Shaw, who homered in his last at-bat, doubled in the third, and walked back in the first. He takes outside. Steckenrider to this point hasn't allowed a run in 8 2/3 innings pitched. Marlins play the infield in. Called strike. Shaw back in the 4th inning that hit the second of the back-to-back home runs after Ryan Braun. The Brewers did damage on 3 consecutive pitches. This one a high chopper that gets over Anderson's head. Yelich in to score. 7-0 Milwaukee.
Well, it seems like everything going right for the Brewers. There's 2 nights of this 4-game series. Infield comes in. Chopper to the left side, springboards over Brian Anderson's head for an RBI single.
Now a message from FPL.
At FPL, we're using technology to help us keep reliability high and bills low. That's how we're changing the current.
That's the first run allowed by Steckenrider here in 2018. Braun on second and Shaw on first for Eric Thames, who takes upstairs. A ball and no strikes.
Have you ever heard the saying, Paul, around the batting cages, hitting is contagious?
I have. And it seems to be the case for the Brewers.
It certainly feels like it, doesn't it? As we mentioned, the numbers coming in for this Brewers team, not very good. They'd only scored in their first 10 ball games 24 runs at 2.4 runs per game here at this ballpark. Now, of course, we saw the Brewers erupt last night. Once again tonight. Now 7 hits. The slug has come back. It's a big part of that, talking about the slugging percentage. When you look at the top to bottom, they won 2 games against the Cincinnati Reds 2-0 on 2 Thames home runs. No offense anywhere else to be found. All of a sudden the Brewers look like they are unstoppable offensively. Kane, Yelich, Braun, Shaw, I mean in particular the top of this lineup doing all the damage tonight. Kane on base 3 of 4 times. Yelich 4 of 4. Braun 2 of 4 with a home run. Shaw again had 3 walks last night. So really it's the top of this lineup that is getting most of the damage, doing most of it.
Well, obviously the last 2 nights for the Brewers, yes, the offense has clicked, but from more of a 30,000-foot view, this is the type of offense that they hoped for throughout 2018. And unfortunately for the Marlins, it has shown up in the first 2 games of this series, but Steckenrider gets the strikeout of Thames, his first, and there's 1 away here in the 6th.
Calling all fans, all coffee fans, join us Sunday, April 29th at 1 p.m. versus the Rockies to get your hands on an exclusive Marlins Cafecito Cup presented by Leon Medical Center. While supplies last, go to marlins.com/promotions for more information.
Here's Jonathan VR. He laces one down the left field line, and that one is foul. And that was a loud strike 1 for VR. Well, you just mentioned before that hitting is contagious. Well, so is success, right? Like, if somebody's doing something that works, why don't I try it? And VR is that kind of guy. Apparently studied Joey Votto's approach to choke up, improve the plate discipline this offseason. He watched a lot of video. And if you're going to study anyone on the plate discipline and how to have an approach with 2 strikes, it is Joey Votto. So let's see if he does that or if he makes a liar out of me right here. Yep. No regard for my credibility. Oh, there he is. He's a little choke up. Yep. We'll count it. Back-to-back strikeouts for Steckenrider. 2 away here in the 6th. Did you ever emulate anyone else that maybe wasn't even a teammate that you just kind of admired from
everybody.
afar?
It's probably my problem is that I really didn't settle onto my swing till about my 7th year in the game. I was doing everybody's swing. Absolutely. You try different things to get your timing going. Leg kicks, hands high, hands low. I was very open-minded, probably too open-minded throughout my career, in all honesty. Sometimes they say to you, you know, find that coach or that person that really connects with your swing and understands it. I was very open to that. So, I mean, a lot of times I could take and process probably too much information from a lot of different people through a slump, and sometimes that made it worse. Listen to my pitching coach, my hitting coach, my manager, the ball boy, the bat boy, guy in the front row. So, yeah, I mean, I did. I tried a lot of different things. But when here's the thing, though. When I did finally find my rhythm, I was always good at doing it. So I was, by definition, a streaky player, a streaky hitter. Both good and bad.
Garcia right back up the middle. Knocked down there by Castro. It kicks away from him. Braun will come in to score. 8-0 Milwaukee. Well, a great effort by Castro to try to knock it down, but it just went a little bit too far from him. And Braun kept going.
Well, the shortstop side of second base. With 2 outs, Starlin did a nice job trying to knock the ball down. He keeps it on the infield. Braun is held at third base. And Braun reads the ricochet off the body, goes out in left field and able to score.
Wincing a little bit. I wonder if he got the wind knocked out of him. Here's Jet Bandy. That clipped his leg. At least he's making the case that it did. Mike Estabrook says you got it. And the bases are loaded here in the 6th. Is done for Jolie Chassin as Jesus Aguilar will come in and pinch hit with the bases loaded and 2 outs. 3 hits and 3 RBIs in last night's ball game. Misses low to Aguilar, who played in first base, or played at first base rather, last night. Part of that lefty-righty platoon situation that the Brewers have over there at first base. Lefty starter Dylan Peters last night, so it was Aguilar that got the nod. Righty and Trevor Richards, so it was Eric Thames that was in the lineup tonight for Craig Counsell. Aguilar skies this one right side, Moore underneath it, drifting back, and will put that one away. 2 more runs in for the Brewers. They lead at 8-0 after 6. Here at Miller Park, it's the Brewers 8, the Marlins nothing as we go to the top of the 7th inning. Paul Severino and Todd Hollinsworth with you. As Jolie Chassin's day is done, so he gives way to the bullpen as Dan Jennings, a former Marlin, takes over. The lefty pitching in his 11th game so far this season. He's pitched in just about half of the games for the Brewers this year. This is their 21st game. He's been in 11 of them.
Well, you talk about putting together a bullpen that does some different things. Dan Jennings has provided the ground ball outs. That's what you see from Dan Jennings. He's done it throughout his career and certainly has done it this season. Ground ball to fly ball ratio 3-1. Strike out a lot of hitters. Again, pitches to contact, but contact typically on the ground. Fastball, slider, as I said, the combination.
Face J.B. Shuck to lead things off, who takes a called strike. Shuck, Maben, and in the top of the order, Derek Dietrich here in the 7th inning. Jennings last pitched on Wednesday against Cincinnati, faced only one batter and got him 2. Surprise, surprise. Ground into a double play. Keep a close eye on the scoreboard tonight. Light night around Major League Baseball on this Thursday. Lighter night, I should say. There were some afternoon games. But one of the games that really the premier matchup of the night across baseball is the Nationals and the Dodgers. Nationals have a 2-0 lead. They pushed 2 runs across in the first inning against Clayton Kershaw. Bryce Harper base hit, a Ryan Zimmerman double. So Kershaw going tonight, and we'll see him on Wednesday in the series finale. That 3-game set in LA. Today's Friday, I'm being told. No idea what day it is. I don't. You're lucky I know what city we're in.
Listen, I'm not going to call you a rook, but you're acting like a rook right now. You're not used to the 4-game series.
No, well, it's that. It's like the day off.
4-game series is messing you up.
No idea.
Well, listen, it's my birthday today, so I know it's Friday.
Yeah, I have no clue what it is. Listen, if you told me we were in Topeka right now, I'd have no idea.
Listen, man, I'm just trying to get you to the yard on time.
That's it. Really said today's Thursday?
It's okay. It happens.
I think I was so worried about doing the math on when we'd see Kershaw. That's what I was thinking. I was so worried about, well, all right, so today it's Wednesday. I was going to say Sunday. Anyway. Flip. Oh, look at Arcia taking one away from Shuck.
Well, baseball's version of a Hail Mary just happened, ladies and gentlemen, in an 8-0 ball game. Watch closely.
He's made plays coming in on slow rollers. This one over his shoulder like a wideout.
I've got to believe there's some element of a guess. You know, he's running to a spot. He knows where this ball is going to kind of come down. And, you know, watch the left arm go up. As the fade on that ball takes it back over his left shoulder, he's able to flag it down. It's frustrating it back. Lose a hit. Jennings is beside himself.
I mean, he'll take it. There's no doubt about it. But man, oh man, what a play by Arcia.
Well, after everything we said, Arcia was surprised that the ball was in the air. It was supposed to be on the ground.
That's exactly right. Yeah, he's all getting ready to charge one. Now he's got to go back. But really, the only one that could make a play on it, even though it seemed as though he had no business to do so, he still made a terrific play. We're out number 1 here in the 7th. Maben fouls that one into the seats. A ball and 2 strikes. He came in as part of a double switch back in the 4th inning. His first at bat flew out to center. 2-2 to Maben. He's able to hold up on that one, and the count runs full. Maben was 0 for 2 in last night's ball game. Scored a run, walked a couple of times. With that fly out back in the 5th inning, now 1 for 9 on this road trip with a couple of runs scored. A ribby. He's down on strikes for out number 2 here in the 7th.
Shannon's dials up a 2-seam fastball in the outside corner. First strikeout of the night.
Every weekday morning, Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp go head-to-head on the day's hottest sports topics. Undisputed with Skip and Shannon. Weekdays from 9:30 a.m. until noon Eastern, only on FS1. Dietrich takes ball 1. Dietrich had a base hit in the 1st inning. Flew out in 3rd, grounded out in the 5th.
Let's take another look. The Arcia catch. Outstanding stuff. Now the route was not perfect, but let's remember, he's trying to catch a ball over the shoulders. Got a good look at how that ball was tailing away from him. So again, where you give the credit to not only the athleticism, but the ability to change directions on the fly.
He's not going to catch this one, but Ryan Braun will.
Might have.
Just give him a chance. A 1-2-3 inning in the 7th for Dan Jennings. 8-0 Brewers. Marlins and the Brewers tomorrow night. An hour earlier, pregame show starts at 6:30 before a 7:10 first pitch. And then Sunday, a 1:30 pregame show before a 2:10 first pitch. And that also means 2 more sausage races to keep our eyes on. In terms of the starting pitchers tomorrow, Jose Urena still looking for his first win in 2018. Brent Suter goes for the Brewers tomorrow night. The 3rd of a 4-game set between these two teams is Kyle Bearclaw is going to come in. The 4th pitcher of the night for the Marlins.
For Urena tomorrow night, an opportunity to right the ship. Looking forward to his start. So the numbers for Bearclaw on the season: 2.70 ERA, 6 2/3 innings. What's been impressive, look at the strikeout to walk ratio. Good stuff. Added to the arsenal this year. So the fastball, the slider, the changeup as well.
Guerrero had an answer for Lorenzo Cain back in the 5th when he struck him out. Other than that, Lorenzo Cain has been on base nearly every time he's reached base.
Well, there's a bit of an anomaly. He throws 100 miles an hour, so
hey,
I'm not sure.
Whatever it takes.
You walked in, he's like, how'd you get him out? Well, I possess something that you do not possess.
Just threw a hundy at him.
Yeah.
No big deal.
Couldn't catch up with him.
Yeah.
So what do? You go to your best pitch. Kyle Bearclaw has done that. See the slider. Nicely done. There's the changeup. 2 pitches. Boy, oh boy, it has been impressive to watch. That secret weapon of his. Word's getting down around the National League about his changeup. We got a good look at it right there.
Now Bearclaw will face Christian Yelich, who has reached base all 4 trips today. Walk in the first, was hit by a pitch in the second, had that RBI triple in the 4th inning, and then walked and scored in the 6th. That triple was part of that sequence of 3 consecutive pitches that led to 4 runs for the Brewers. The RBI triple, then the 2-run home run from Braun. Travis Shaw with a solo home run. Boom, boom, boom for the Brew Crew. Back in that 4th inning. Last time we saw Bearclaw was in New York on Tuesday night. Worked an inning, struck out a couple. There's a ground ball to Bohr. Feeds Bearclaw 2 outs. Shouldn't come to anyone's surprise that Bearclaw struck somebody out, as he did with Lorenzo Cain a moment ago. 17.55 strikeouts per 9. And that's 5th among National League relievers. My goodness, who was ahead of him? Is Jordan Hicks on that list somewhere? That kid's throwing like 102 every time he lets one loose in St. Louis. There's Ryan Braun. Home runs in back-to-back nights for the Brewers. He takes down low. Along with that 2-run home run in the 4th inning, a single and a run scored in the 6th. Brewers had 1 in the 1st, 5 in the 4th, and 2 in the 6th inning tonight. Well, I've got the answer on the strikeouts per 9 in the National League. The man who holds the top spot is in the ballpark, in fact. Josh Hader with the Milwaukee Brewers. 19.3 strikeouts per 9 innings.
I believe he's got a string of appearances in which he's struck out 3 batters or more.
It's crazy. Adam Montevino, 18.56 Colorado. Carl Edwards Jr. and even 18, and then Kyle Bearclaw. Oh, Sean Doolittle's at 18 in Washington, D.C. Well, that'll help the numbers for Bearclaw as he gets a couple of strikeouts here in the 7th inning. Works a 1-2-3 7th. We'll check in with the studio after the break.
is.
That much I do know. Again, we'll check in with Craig Minervini and Gabby Sanchez back in the studio after this one. Taylor Williams in back-to-back ball games here for the Brewers. Saw him pitch last night, a scoreless 7th inning, walked a guy, struck out a batter as well. He'll face Miguel Rojas and then Starlin Castro and Justin Bour. 0-4-1 is the line score for Miami. 8-8-0 for Milwaukee here as we get to the top of the 8th inning. Rojas reached on a fielder's choice back in the 1st inning. A couple of pop outs. Had that 10-game hit streak end last night. Trying to start another one tonight as it fires that one into the 2nd deck. 0-2. I'm guessing over the course of these 4 games we will see the aforementioned Josh Hader, but in a way I don't want to see him. But Hader is a guy who I called Arizona Fall League games a few years back, and he is impressive to watch if you haven't seen him.
He's an elite talent. Some rumblings and grumblings. Breaking ball in the dirt. Rojas chasing after it. First strikeout for Williams. Yeah, Hader, some discussion inside the Brewers organization. Were they willing to move him into the starting rotation? Was this going to be the year that you would see that happen? That's almost a rite of passage for some of the elite arms, some of the younger talent, and we've seen it now. Harlan Garcia is doing it for the Marlins. In fact, obviously started out in the bullpen last year, gets lots of experience, gets lots of usage in different ways, and then makes his way to the starting staff. Well, Hader in that same spot, and Craig Counsell and the Milwaukee Brewers were really concentrated on, deciding to leave him in the bullpen this year. They felt like he was better served, and that the organization probably was better served in the bullpen. His stuff is elite to the point where you can almost pick the spots where you want him to come to a ball game. He can go multiple innings for you, and to your point, I mean, he's a strikeout weapon.
Yeah, go ahead. 25 strikeouts in 11 2/3 innings pitched. I mean, that's a very high number. It's 19. It's 19.3 per 9.
That's unfair. Well, and I think at some point in his career we'll probably see him in the rotation. May not be 2018, but maybe more like 2019.
Lanky lefty for those that haven't seen him. But right now it's Trevor Williams. He gets Castro to chase. Back-to-back strikeouts. 2 away here in the 8th.
Start your day with First Things First. Join Chris Carter, Nick Wright, Jenna Wolf. This morning sports show on television. First Things First. Weekdays on FS1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Your morning routine just got a whole lot more fun. Williams has brought his A breaking ball to the game tonight. Saw a pretty good mix from him last night. He's featured it to the first 2 hitters almost exclusively.
Justin Bour 0 for 2 with a walk back in the 6th inning. And hit in last night's ball game. And then able to hold up on that one. 1-1. Well, if the Brewers can get more out of Jhoulys Chacín like what they got tonight, working through the first 6 innings, 4 hits, 5 strikeouts. Well, Chase Anderson's pretty good. We saw him last night. They'll get Jimmy Nelson back later in the season. The weapons that they've got out of the bullpen, this offense, you know exactly why people think that the Brewers are going to be in the mix in the Central, if not one of the favorites in the National League by the time October rolls around.
They're going to be contenders against the St. Louis Cardinals, the likes of the Chicago Cubs. How about the start the Pirates have gotten off? This is a tough division. You cannot have elongated slumps as a team. I'll tell you what, that fastball was pretty wicked. It was 95 miles an hour. Looked like it had a little cut on it. Standings already. Cincinnati, they have been struggling for years now. 3-15. Fired their manager Brian Price the other day. Moving in a different direction, but the other 4 teams really do believe they've got a chance, and they should.
Line drive into the second. That one all the way to the concourse. My goodness. 3-2 to Bohr. Yeah, Pittsburgh, by the way, at the top of that division, they lost today to the Philadelphia Phillies 2-1. So for as great of a start that the Pirates got off to, we saw them last week. They kind of struggled to score a couple of runs, even though they did win a couple of games in that 3-game set. Bohr comes up empty as Williams strikes out the side in the 8th. Brewers in front. Take over for the Marlins. Face Travis Shaw, Eric Thames, and Jonathan VR. It is 8-0 Milwaukee here in the second game of a 4-game set between these two teams. Ziegler's first outing since Tuesday night in New York. He struck out a couple, gave up a run in his 8th game this year. For an answer for Travis Shaw, who is 3 for 3 tonight, walked in his other plate appearance. Might have found it. Ground ball to second. 1 away.
That's what you want to see from Ziegler right now. You see a lot of ground ball outs. MLB At Bat is your #1 app for Marlins baseball. Customize your experience to catch every moment this season. Marlins home screen icons and features such as the MLB.TV Game of the Day, pitch tracking, in-game highlights, live radio broadcast, stats, news, and more. Download MLB At Bat today.
First pitch swinging for Eric Thames down the left field line and into the second deck. Thames walked with the bases loaded back in the first inning. Struck out the 3rd and the 6th, but then also walked and scored in that 5-run 4th inning. 18 career games for Brad Ziegler against Milwaukee. He's pitched to a 1.62 ERA. Working quickly here to Thames, 2-1. Thames out to center field. Maben is back, and that one's off the wall. Another extra base hit for Thames. A one-out double here in the 8th.
A couple of walks, a couple of strikeouts tonight for Thames. Good low ball hitter as he's able to elevate even below the knees. You see what he possesses as far as power. Drives it off the base of the wall, 400 feet away.
That one got over Maben's head in a hurry. Exit velocity there for Thames. Now it's Jonathan VR. Struck out 3 times tonight, also walked back in the 4th. One to VR as he took a little bit off there. 1-2. Another look on StatCast.
This ball, exit velocity all over it. So Maben did his best to play it off the wall. He gets maybe a little better. Carry him off the wall. Right, as a center fielder, you know how fast it's going to get over your head. You see the exit velocity. It's coming your way, and it's coming quick. You didn't see him chase that back to the wall and try to make a catch. Did not close. No chance. That's how hard the hit that ball was.
See, that's the thing. We were talking about that Yelich triple before when J.B. Shuck went out toward right center field. It's like kind of in between where he's like kind of like a step away from making the catch, and then it, goes over his head, and then it bounces over the, off the wall, and now it plays kind of into a triple. That one is going over your head. Off the bat in rather short order to the base of the center field wall. The strikeout of VR for out number 2 here in the 8th. Lots of power for that guy, Eric Thames. And now it's Orlando Arcia. Base hit through the right side. They are going to hold Thames at third and throw to first base, and off the bag fell Arcia. He's holding his foot as Bohr cut off the throw through to second base, or through to the second baseman Castro, who was covering first, and it looked like Arcia was back and then stumbled off the bag. That's when Castro tagged him for out number 3, but Craig Counsell and the training staff going to take a look at their shortstop.
Well, outstanding job of running the wheel. Watch Justin Bohr cut it off. You see him sneak around. This is the wheel. Well done. He slides in awkwardly. His ankle comes off. Probably safe at first until he fully comes off the bag. Definitely safe at first. You see his front foot slide in and almost roll that ankle. He starts to go for it. Starlin keeps the tag on him, and he comes off. Out number 3.
All right, we'll get an update on Arcia. It's 8-0 after 8. Answer Center, in pursuit of your cure by your South Florida Honda dealers. Paul Severino, Todd Hollinsworth back for the top of the 9th inning. Marlins down to the last 3 outs in this one, as they trail at 8-0. As Eric Sogard has taken over for Orlando Arcia, who had the base hit and then looked like he might have jammed his ankle on the slide back into first base, where he was tagged out for the 3rd out of the inning. Any further updates? I'm sure we're not going to get one in the next few minutes, but perhaps an update tomorrow. And that terrific defensive shortstop Orlando Arcia, and whether or not he'll miss any time after that twisted ankle a moment ago. Realmuto takes ball 1. Realmuto, Anderson, and Talise here in the 9th.
A couple of hard hit balls. His last 2 times up from Realmuto. Talise hit to right line, drive out to center field, but good swings. JT's season is just underway. He is in week 1. Return from the disabled list. Pretty good results so far.
They only had the 1 rehab game. I mean, he was taking at-bats elsewhere, but they only had the 1 rehab game. He homered. He had 3 hits in that ball game. The next day he was up to New York. Took batting practice, wanted to see how he felt, and then it was activated on Tuesday.
I don't think people really understand how hard, what he's done, how hard that is. He's kind of jumped right back into the fire, and for the most part, he's made it look seamless, has he not?
I would say so.
Yeah, home run to right field at Yankee Stadium, 4 RBIs game 1, couple hard hit balls last night, a base hit tonight to right field. Yeah, it's not that easy. Nope. Good 4th at bat tonight.
All right, folks, time for the showstopper. Frenchie Cordero with a long home run, 489. To right center field.
You know what that is?
What?
That's a showstopper.
That's the longest home run this year.
That's right.
According to StatCast. And apparently not the only storyline in that ball game right now. As
Tyson Ross.
That's right. Just through 5 2/3. He struck out 9. Hasn't given up a hit yet.
Tyson Ross sighting. My goodness. Burst onto the scene a few years ago. San Diego Padres. Some injuries, and he seems to be back.
Now he's through 6. Walking 9 strikeouts, and he's at 88 pitches right now. So there's that storyline around Major League Baseball to follow tonight. There is the amazing pitching matchup between the multiple Cy Young winners and Max Scherzer and Clayton Kershaw. It's 2-0 Nats right now as they play on in the 5th inning in Los Angeles.
Now Williams, 8th inning, a lot different than the start to this 9th inning. His command was outstanding. Fastball command in particular. His breaking ball worked, and he mowed the Marlins down. Here in the 9th, he has been a little bit more erratic. Walked to Realmuto, is now falling behind Anderson.
One is popped up on the infield. Sogard falls off VR, who may have been a bit offended by that, but I think they'll take the out.
It's like, all right, if you're going to catch it, I'm not moving. You're going to have to catch it around me. VR did not want to move.
You're on my side of the infield.
That's right. Let's give it some ground.
I love the specs, by the way. He rocks the specs, like not the Chris Sabo specs. Not the like the athletic goggles. Those look like Ray-Bans or something. Whatever works. This is Brian Holiday. I mentioned Tomas Talise. Of course, he came in to pinch hit for a pitcher. So as the pitcher spot comes back around, it's Brian Holiday off the bench. with 1 on and 1 out here in the ninth. Holliday saw a bunch of playing time really toward the second half of the time that the Marlins were without JT Realmuto, and has a hit in 5 of his 8 starts this season. Rolls one to third. The only play is to first. That took a while to develop, and it's knocked down there by Thames.
Let's hope that goes as a hit. I think it will.
Shaw thought about second. Didn't have a play there. Double clutched and then finally threw over.
Well, down to his knees, right. He wanted to go the short way to second, realized he didn't have that. Realmuto on his horse, hustling into second base, takes that away. Makes the long throw from his knee, but Thames unable to come up with it at first.
They rule that a hit, so it's another hit for Brian Holliday. 2 on and 1 out for J.B. Shuck. Shuck has a base hit in this ball game. Came back in the 5th. Oliver Drake loosening as Craig Counsell doesn't want this game getting anywhere near close. Also for Williams, he's thrown 30 pitches, and this the second of a back-to-back night scenario for the young righty. The 1-1 to Shuck is a base hit into center field. Freddie Gonzalez is going to hold Realmuto, and the bases are going to be loaded.
Second hit of the night for J.B. Shuck. Back up the middle for both base hits. Solid contact. Marlins are chasing 8. Certainly do not want to see any outs at home at this point. Appears to be it. Craig Counsell makes his way out.
It's a Florida Lottery call to the bullpen. Craig Counsell comes out with the bases loaded in the 8th.
everyone. One aspect of what the new Marlins ownership group is trying to do is to create a new culture in Miami. Inside the Marlins, captain's camp focuses on the top prospects in the ball club and the qualities of becoming a great leader and teammate that they are being taught in camp. That is going to premiere this Sunday, April 22nd at 5:30, or following our Marlins Live postgame show. Guys?
Jessica, thanks. Yeah, looking forward to that. Coming up on Sunday. Right now, Oliver Drake comes in, as he is the 4th pitcher of the night for the Milwaukee Brewers. Takes over for Taylor Williams. He pitched in last night's ball game, a perfect 8th inning with a strikeout, as he's in his 9th game of this 2018 season. Inherits a bases loaded situation, 1 out in the 9th inning, as Cameron Maben is unable to hold up, says Alfonso Marquez. 0-1. Maben came in as part of a double switch in the 4th inning. He flew out in his first at bat in the 5th, then struck out in inning number 7. Trying to get the Marlins' first run of the game on the board and avoid the shutout. Marlins have been shut out on 2 occasions already this season, the last of which was the last time Trevor Richards got the start. As Richards was great in that ball game, 7 innings, but the Pirates scored 1 run in the 9th inning on the strength of a couple of bunts. That was Richards' last start. This start, not as good. 3 2/3. Maben takes low and in. 3-1.
And we've talked about this from the Marlins. Games this season, late in the ball game, down and off a lot, having quality at bats. Any good swings out there. Contact from Maben his last time up. Bat here in the top of the 9th, but the base is loaded. Opponent sitting 282 against Drake. Got now full. Brewers are 3-1 so far in this 7-game homestand. They've won 3 straight games here at home. To this point, they have outscored their opponents 24-3. Strength of that high-powered offense of this Brewers 2018 squad. And Maben went around. We're out number 2 here in the 9th. Willing to go to the splitty right here. My goodness. Bases loaded, 8-0 ball game. Cameron Maben not factoring that in at all. So he's got himself a fastball coming. For Drake, not a big pitch. His last time out, he got knocked around. I thought for sure there would have been a fastball right there as well. Gave up 6 earned runs his last outing. Derek Dietrich, the last hope for the Marlins, swings at the first pitch, grounds it to first, aims over to the bag where Drake covers, and that will do it. As the Brewers shut out the Marlins tonight 8-0 and take the first 2 games of this 4-game set at Miller Park. Marlins Live post-game show is coming up. For Todd Hollingsworth and the rest of our crew, I'm Paul Severino. Thanks for watching. Again, Marlins Live coming up in a moment.